Do we have to always give consent?
Yes, it's important. Consent is always important, Andrew. It's not the 70s.
Okay. I thought I'd have plausible deniability if I didn't click OK.
You don't work for the government. There's no such thing as plausible deniability in the civilian world. All right. So welcome back to B Team, everyone. Good to see everyone. I hope everybody had great weekends. It sounds like you guys did. You guys may remember when we stopped last time, you guys had just chased off the Fey interloper Vuhl, the owl-looking dude, that had come to this bridge with the express, according to him, the purpose of convincing Tijann, another pixie-like creature, to take his side in the discussions that had obviously been taking place at a place called the Seela village, where these Fey creatures had been singing to keep the creature of the fire forests contained for a long while, with Vuhl taking the point of view that they had been deceived. It was all a lie. They would not die if they stopped singing, and that they could not go on as a village this way, doing this thing, devoting all of their resources and all of their time singing essentially 24 hours a day, this ensorcelment spell to keep this creature penned up. Tijann, a traditionalist, is sort of I wouldn't say the leader of the people who says, yeah, we can't take the chance, but she certainly espoused that vocally within the thing, within the village, and was a fervent defender of keeping things the status quo. Now, let's keep in mind that you guys have also made a couple of deals. One with Indomitable himself to remove the song. The way he described it was, remove the song from my heart, and I will be released, and I can go back to my plane, which he assures you that he will do. And in addition, give you some sort of magical blessing or power by way of thank you. But he also has made it clear that if you guys don't do this, since you've agreed to it, that there will be repercussions. And you've also have a tentative deal in place with the bearded devil, Kazakh, who the last time you will remember told you guys that he was in thrall to a high-ranking member of the Sargavan Scourge, those people that had attacked Gate Pass, attacked you guys at that farm, and have basically made it clear that they are trying to get rid of arcane magic users. They're all divine magic users, and they want to get rid of arcane magic users. That's the deal with the Scourge. But it's also a nice way to consolidate power. Everyone with a stream of knowledge knows that arcane magic users are a powerful force. And if you are the Sargavans who want to extend your influence over a cowed populace, then removing the magic users, or at least keeping an eye on them or driving them on the run, is a good way to do that.
I'm thinking of Falcata as a powerful force too.
That's true, but it's only one Falcata. The Scourge is made up of many divine casters in a strict hierarchy, and more or less independent from the Sargavan government. So they are sort of indulged quite a bit because they get things done. That's who you guys saw basically taking over at Gate Pass when you guys were making your escape. So you guys made a sort of a tentative deal with Kazakh to copy some of the salient materials from the case so that he could take it back with them while you guys would have a copy. And I believe before you guys left the Elvish village, you guys did that, right? Or had you had a chance to do that yet, to make those copies?
I think we were in the process. Or yeah,
I thought we already finished those copies, and he had already left with the originals. But
no, we haven't done that yet. I know that. Yeah, I know. Not last time, but the time before last, we had started making those copies. It was one of the casters had a spell they could use to do it or something.
Yeah, Gordon, I think.
Was it?
Yeah. And then we stole the book from the grumpy mage.
Yeah, you took all his materials, so that you did manage to cobble together enough materials. But my recollection is that Poe needed to rest for a day before he could get that spell. That it wasn't something he carried around with him. Is that accurate? I think that's accurate.
Sure.
You're muted, Gordon.
It's just a cantrip. It's called Scrivener's Chant, but I did not have it, so it would take a day to get it.
That may be what it is. So you guys left the, so you guys haven't had a chance to do the copying yet. You'd hope to do that soon after an opportunity to rest. You have not yet got that opportunity because on your way several hours up the Seela River, or in this case, it's the White River, you came across the region that you guys are looking at now, which is this area where you met Tijann, who was singing a song sitting on this, on this bridge. And then as you guys approached and sort of put in at the bank to see what was going on, you realized that she was about to get ambushed by this Vuhl guy. So this Vuhl guy had materialized and was trying to convince her to take his side, to influence some of the holdouts that followed Tiljann's lead and said that they couldn't stop the singing to come over to his side. He was going to try and convince her. But when it became clear that she would not be convinced, a bunch of pixies materialized out of invisibility, and he gave them orders to attack her and presumably to kill her. You know what to do. You guys will remember him saying. You guys stepped in to help your friend Tijann, despite the philosophical conflicts that you guys have, in that she wants to continue the singing. You guys are of the opinion that you want to stop the singing. You guys were managed to fight off Vuhl, convince in large part the rest of the pixie
guys,
and not kill any of their guys, that you had that there was something wrong here, and Vuhl took off. And you guys we find ourselves at the start where you guys are sort of like, look, let's head back to the village and talk to our leader, Papuvin, who is the leader of our village. He'll know what to do. Basically, the fair folk, they say, look, we've lived with Vuhl for years. He's not evil. They did detect evil on him as he flew away, and they couldn't detect any evil on him. But they admitted that they were like, we need to find out what's going on.
They did detect good and didn't detect good.
Right.
They couldn't detect evil, because that would have made it easy.
Yeah.
So yeah, they did detect good and didn't detect good on him. So it means he's either neutral or evil.
Could be anything.
But they did it also on Poe, and Poe didn't show up on the radar either. So
that's true. So they were basically like, look, let's go back and talk to our chief Papuvin, and he'll know what to do. So that's where we begin. At the start, you guys sort of pack up your gear, get back in the boat, and they're like, well, follow us. They can all fly, so they'll fly, but they'll say, look, if you follow us, there's a place where you'll have to leave the river, but you can park their boat there. It'll be safe, and then you follow us to walk the mile or so the rest of the way to the village. Tijann decides that she's going to ride with you guys in your increasingly crowded boat. The rest of the pixies will fly ahead, but they'll stay close. And it gives you an opportunity to sort of ask some questions of Tijann as you guys flow, because it's going to take several hours for you guys to get close to the village and to the point where you do. So you do have some opportunities to ask some questions if you have any.
So is the creature that you guys are singing to keep placated, is that a fire creature?
It is, yeah. It's a fire creature, and it's so Tijann will tell you it's the spirit of it's a spirit of the flames, and without our singing, it would the fire forest would grow out of control, and that's in addition. Because what we have been told is, we've been taught by timbre, is that if we ever to stop, not only would this creature escape and the fire force grow out of control, but it would mean, because we are magically bound to this song and this job, that if we stop singing as a group and everything goes to hell, it will be the death of us as well.
Thank you. So unless anybody has unless someone puts their hand over Arendar's mouth, he's going to pretty much tell her that as far as we understand, the fire force is already a little bit out of control because of this monster. We met with this monster and kind of made a deal, kind of were forced into a deal.
You tell her this? You're telling her this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like
All
I said,
right.
I'm going to start and look to everyone if anyone wants to stop me.
And no, honesty is, I think, a good idea.
Arendar's not overly intelligent. He's not stupid, but he's not cunning. He's not, so he's kind of the tank. So his way to solve stuff is go straight at it. So like I said, unless someone stops him, he's going to kind of tell her why we're here, what we're doing, and say, I don't know what you're saying is against what we're doing, but for some reason I still feel that this might be the right way. I just need to know what you know, and hopefully with what I'm telling you and what you know, we can figure out what's really going on here.
Well, she'll at first, when you tell her that you have met the creature of the fire force that she's purporting to stop, and tell her that you've made a deal with it, at first she seems incredulous, and then she seems like, well, that can't be possible. It must be that the creature is deceiving you. He's trying to deceive you so you can get us. She seems pretty satisfied. It's like the creatures. If you've really spoken to this creature, and it's trying to deceive you so that you can get us to stop, and it will be released to wreak whatever havoc it wants to do. And she's like, this all makes sense. He's trying to deceive you.
Okay, then how do we fix this? Because we can't go. We just want to get through the forest.
Well, hang on. But what do you know about this beast, and how do you know he's deceiving us and not deceiving you?
She looks a little taken aback by that question, but she's like, you are newcomers to the forest, and that's understandable.
Fuck you guys.
We have lived here. We have lived here for an age. Our people are in touch with the fire forest. We are creatures of the fire forest. We would be, and she says it quite plainly. She's like, it's less likely that we would be deceived by this than you guys were. You guys have no experience here. It's not your fault. It's just that you guys don't know what you're doing.
How long has this creature been bound by you guys?
It's just you're stupid.
How long? Well, so she will tell you that the Fae of her village have been singing this song to bind the creature of the fire, the creatures of the fire forest, the creature of the fire forest, for something along the lines of 2 years, which, to your point, Gordon, I think doesn't match the timeline that you're talking about, because you were aware that it's only been maybe 6 or 9 months that the fire forest has been in this sort of like exacerbated condition. Yeah.
Okay, that's kind of what Arendar is trying to get at too, is trying to figure out the timeline to figure out, does this all make sense, or do we think we're being lied to or used?
Yeah.
You don't get the impression that, you don't get the impression that you're being lied to by Tijann. I mean, she seems fairly plain. You can do sense motives on her, and she's grateful because she thinks, although with each passing moment, she increasingly is of the opinion that whatever Vuhl was trying to do, it wasn't kill her. Even though you guys have a direction. So she has a pretty fair capacity for self-deception. But because she said, look, I know Vuhl. He's a member of our village and has been for decades. We know him. Now, and she'll say, look, he may have, he has been a little different. And she'll say, look, what I think of Vuhl is basically he seems to have had some sort of revelation recently, and that revelation is what he said is that life is meaningless. He wants the seela to embrace death, to stop fearing it, and to stop singing, so that death can come to us. He says that by freeing the fiery stag, the fiery spirit, our spirits will be free to die along with the forest. And that's just something. It's nihilistic and very much unlike him. But he has been depressed, and he has been, frankly, acting strangely.
When did he start acting like that?
5 or 6 weeks ago.
So is it possible that some kind of magic is allowed someone to take his place, or maybe he's been cursed or controlled?
Take his place. You've seen him. No one looks like him.
Arendar's going 100% off what Poe said. There was something that he was covering up. And Arendar trusts Poe, so he's like, there was something going on there.
I don't know. I've known Vuhl my whole life, and he has been a staunch and intelligent and effective member of our community. Anyone can suffer from despair, and I think that Vuhl has he's come to the conclusion, however wrong that he is, that our lives are meaningless if we continue to do this, and we need to free ourselves from this self-imposed bondage that we have taken upon ourselves. And it just,
Has he been reading Sartre?
it's possible. I mean, there were a bunch of French philosophy books hanging around. I mean, we are Fey after all. I mean, you know.
So why did they decide to do this 2 years ago? What made them decide to install?
Tamber told us that it was required. So Tamber, she'll tell you, is a dryad of the glade, very mysterious, very powerful, but a creature of the fire force. And she came to us 2 years ago and told us that that we needed to do this to contain, essentially what she told you before, to contain these spirits of the fire forest in such a way that it would not become that it wouldn't blaze up into an inferno. We could, and that the creatures of the fire forest, all of the creatures of the fire forest, good, bad, or indifferent, could continue their lives without being immolated, essentially.
So what do you guys think is the reason that 6 to 9 months ago, all of a sudden the fire forest jumped on steroids?
We don't know. We think that, well, perhaps it's the creature is acting more effectively on trying to get himself loose. Maybe it's the creature knows that it's succeeding in convincing some of us that we shouldn't sing any longer and we should release it. I don't know.
So what do you know of this creature?
I've never seen it. I trust the village elders, and I trust Tamber of the fire dryad of the glade of fire to tell us what to do. I mean, who would question such things?
Can we talk to Tamber?
I suppose it's possible. No one, Tamber is one of those creatures that one doesn't necessarily talk to her. She talks to them, and only at moments of her own choosing. I don't know where her fiery glade resides. Guinevera knows, because they were great friends back in the distant past. Now I don't know if they're still friends, but considering that Guinevera is a river dryad and Tamber is a fire dryad, they seem mutually incompatible, but it's well known that they were great friends back many years ago.
And
I don't know where Tamber is, and I don't know that anybody in our village knows where Tamber resides. But Guinevera's lives in the river about 4 miles from our village. We don't see her often, but sometimes when we trek down there to fish or chase dragonflies.
I just don't think we have the truth from anybody yet.
yeah, I mean, this elemental basically said that it was being held against its will, and all it wants to be is free. So what would it do that would make it want to destroy this forest? I mean, that's not in the nature of this kind of elemental, is it, or is it?
Well, it's fire. It's kind of thing is kind of destruction by fire. It's what it does.
It has told you a plausible tale of why releasing it might be beneficial, when perhaps all it wants to do is be released to wreak havoc, which is what we've been told.
Right.
My thought is that you have been deceived by it. If you've met the creature itself at all, it could have been an imposter, some creature that is pretending to be this creature of the flames in order to convince you to do some errand of its own.
We described the big beetle that we fought and how this thing happened and basically what came out of it, and kind of explain that to her.
That's a good idea.
I have heard tales of a great fire beetle, but I've never seen one. We
did.
mostly we see it as we have been told that it is an enormous flaming stag, many times the size of a normal stag that capers through the flames and feeds them with its own fiery power.
That's what this beetle was doing.
Huh?
I told her that's what this beetle was doing. It was huge, and we lost one of our own.
Is it not possible that you could have been deceived? Who did you lose? Who did you said you lost one of our own?
Torrent.
Oh, Torrent. That's right. The beetle fell on her, smushed her.
I lost my little method.
Well, he just flew off. He's probably like, these guys get too much crap thrown at him for me to hang out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you guys watch her. I mean, she seems like, you guys can do as many sense motives as you want. She seems like she's telling the truth. Certainly, she's telling you the truth as she sees it, as she understands it. She does admit that Vuhl seems to have grown more despairing. He was always, she'll admit, he was always morose. He was always sort of like a Debbie Downer for the village, which every village has one, you know. But it seemed like he became more nihilistic, death focused. You know, like if we are to die, then we should die free, not bound to this creature. You know, why is it that none of the other villages in the fire forest have this burden put upon them? Why should we suffer so? You know, we should embrace freedom is greater than the bondage of service and all this other. I mean, she's just like, I don't really understand him anymore. He was always a great intellectual, and I'm not, but you know, he was. And so, but I know, I just feel it in my heart that if we stop the song, it will mean not only the release of this creature that will destroy our forest, but it will probably mean our deaths as well. That is what Timbre told us.
I think we need to talk to Timbre or whatever.
I don't know how you will find her. You should talk to Papuvin. If anyone in our village knows how to find Timbre, it will be Papuvin.
I will start there.
All right. Any other questions for her about anything?
Is there a good place to rest for the night? I think we all need to charge up.
Oh, I'm sure once we reach the village, you will be welcome to stay there. We have many clean and comfortable caves in the hills so that we reside in next to the lake, and you'll be comfortable there. I'm certain of it.
Where do you think Vuhl's going? Is he going back to the village too? I mean, he's not just going to give this up if he was attempting to attack you.
If he's headed that way, I'm sure he's going back. I think we maybe have misjudged Vuhl. I you know, as I think more about it, I don't think he was trying to hurt me. I think he was trying to convince me, and in his despair, it brought him to this place to try and convince me to take his side. And I think he was frustrated because I've always disagreed with him on this subject, but I don't think he was trying to hurt anyone.
Well, the fair folk can tell us that, right? They were following his orders.
Well, they were. Did you question him? And
Yeah,
they were like, well, yeah, I mean, he didn't really come out and say that we were supposed to, you know, hurt her, but like that we needed to, that her mind needed to be changed no matter what. And some of them don't speak at all.
yeah.
So some of them are like, well, you know, he didn't really say we were supposed to hurt her, but that kind of thing. And then some of them are just like doing that. They don't want to talk about it.
Arrows you shot our direction and at her that we were trying to protect her, that kind of tells me that you were trying to kill her.
That is all hearsay.
I think several of us have some little pinpricks that beg to differ.
Do we know who originally imprisoned this elemental? Does she know?
Yeah, that's a good question.
She does not. All she knows is that a couple of years back, this timbre woman who she describes as a dryad of the fire forest, a fiery dryad. Sometimes she's refers to her as the lady of the fire glade, that kind of thing, came to the village. And so the relationship between this village and this timbre is sort of strange. Timbre is very powerful, is the way she'll tell you. And basically, like, she's one of those creatures. She's a fae, she's a dryad, but she comes here and, everybody, and often gives pronouncements, like, right? So she's not the chief of this village. That's Papuvin. But certainly Timbre is more powerful than Papuvin, and he knows this. But she doesn't live here. She has her own dryady things and shit that she does out in the fire forest. She came here a couple of years ago and said, look, you guys need to do this. And she gave us the song and, showed us how to do it, and that we needed to continue to do it, pretty much forever, so as to keep this creature in line. Otherwise, there was going to be rampant destruction throughout the fire forest. We never questioned it. This isn't, Timbre is not somebody that you question.
Who is Timbre to you? I mean, who is this woman? This is
well, I mean, she's the lady of the fiery glade. She's friends with Anyariel. They were great friends along. Anyariel and Timbre and Guinevera were great friends. Before my time, decades and decades ago. Anyariel, you'll remember that when she says that name, you'll remember that that's the Gailey that you guys saw the statue underneath in that grove, and that that they were protecting at the Elvish village underneath there was a shrine to Anyariel. She was sort of an Elvish proto deity, like a regional demigod. But she says, look, we don't really, I've never spoken with. She'll be like, I've never spoken with Timbre or Guinevera for that matter. They're way above my pay grade, is the impression you get.
I mean, so she's a lady of the Glen, but what does she do for a living? How did she get there? Is she like?
She's always been there. She's always been there, as far as I know.
She's a dryad. She's a nature dryad.
I don't know.
And Guinevera is a river dryad, and between the two of them and Anyariel, they were basically, she said, look, this is all, and you get the impression this is all sort of like local mythology, but it was those three that were sort of like a triumvirate, this Guinevera took care of the rivers, Timbre took care of the forest, the flaming forest itself, and then Anyariel was above both of them as sort of the local sort of forest deity.
I think in my gut, I feel like letting this thing go probably isn't the best thing to do, but we did it to kind of save our hides. I'm looking for an opportunity to not do it.
Yeah.
But I don't know how to handle that.
Yeah, our goal is just to get through here. We were kind of blocked and couldn't go through here because this thing kind of forced the deal on us.
I mean, I'm kind of in a reneging mood at the moment.
Up in the trees, you see Kazakh like, reneging mood? I don't think so. No, you don't see him, but you do have. I mean, it's not just Indomitable that you guys have made obligations to or agreements with. Indomitable, certainly, you've got kind of a weird obligation, and you'll remember when you guys were at the Elvish village, you guys sort of looked down that southwest, the pathway that would ultimately have led out of the fire forest, and you remember that those walls of fire started like sort of horning you guys in when you guys sort of scouted out down that way. The idea being is that Indomitable probably was suspicious that you guys might be trying to escape the fire forest before helping him. So, or helping it, really, it's not really him. And then Kazakh is like, I've made a bargain with Indomitable too to try and help him out. Why don't we help each other out? And I can get loose from the scourge. You guys can, help out Indomitable and solve that problem. And it's a conflict of interest, or as we like to say in the hells, synergy.
I mean, maybe what we need to do is release them, meet our contract, and then kill it.
Kill Indomitable? It's possible, I
say we
suppose.
just find it wherever it is and take a bunch of buckets of water and just like douse the thing in a bunch of water.
3 cantrips of drench and you're out of there.
Mhm.
Sounds like a steamy proposition.
We'll take him for a swim.
So yeah, I mean, the more you talk to her, it's even in the hour or two as you guys are sort of sailing down the thing, you see, you can almost physically see Tiljann's opinions changing. He's like, Vuhl never meant to hurt me. I mean, I'm sure it was just to scare me, and even these guys are, I'm sure they misinterpreted, and it was just all a big sort of misunderstanding. She's resolute in the idea that, we need to keep the song going on. We need to keep the creature. I don't want to die. And it's worth it to continue to sing than to release the creature and potentially bring about our deaths and the immolation of the fire forest, which Vuhl seems to seek. And he's, on one hand, Vuhl has sort of convinced some of his followers that if we stop singing, nothing will happen. It's just that it was all a big scam perpetrated by Tamber for reasons unknown on our village. But also at the same time, he's got this thing is like, even if it's not a scam, can we really live like this? Can we, with this 24-hour-a-day job that we have to do, that we don't, that we do, we don't get any help. We don't, have any, recourse. None of the other villages have to do this. As far as we know, it's this makes no sense.
So one of the things she said earlier is that the water nymph and the fire nymph were friends.
Yes, she assumes. Well, she doesn't know. She has only. She will tell you she has only seen Guinevera a couple of times. She doesn't go down there, and Guinevera is kind of scary. So she doesn't go down there. So she's very powerful. She's a very powerful river nymph.
Right.
Tamber, she's only seen the one time.
The question is, her statement was they were friends. That sounds past tense.
If you query her on that, she basically will give you the idea that was a grammatical error, that, they were friends. They were, the mythology that they known is that all these Anyariel, Tamber, and Guinevera were all friends, and that Anyariel's gone, killed or whatever, or gone on to whatever plane she's on. And that, Tamber has her job, whatever that might be. And Guinevera has her job in the river. And since one's fire, one's river, that maybe the impression you get is that maybe Anyariel was sort of the spoon that stirs the drink, right? In this crazy threesome. So, she doesn't know, but she didn't get the impression that they're still friends or close as they were. But like she said, she's only seen Guinevera a couple of times in her life, and she's only seen Tamber one time, and that was the time she came a couple of years ago and told him, you have to do this job.
And Tamber is apparently impossible to find, but she knows where Guinevera is.
She knows where Guinevera is. Yeah, everybody does. Now, nobody seems to know where Tamber is, though.
I think we should go talk to Guinevera.
Yeah.
Because if they were friends and aren't now, then perhaps Tamber did something that has made that be the case. And at this point, the thing we know so far about these fair folk, and especially the main one we're talking to, is she's as dumb as a box of rocks. A nymph came out of the forest, said, you need to do this or you'll all die. And they went, okay. And so they've been doing it for 2 years. Now it has validity to them because it's tradition. They didn't ask any questions. They didn't question the orders. They didn't even try to understand, why would this fire nymph want this? And generally when people sort of give orders like that, it's to get themselves power or money. And since money's not the issue here, it could potentially be power, which means she may be in a power imbalance with the river nymph. And I think talking to her might get us more information about what the hell's going on.
You're here.
Or we could go Wraith's way and just shoot them fucking all.
Well, I mean, Tijann obviously is against the shoot 'em all part.
Well, like I said, Tiljann's as dumb as a box of rocks.
So you're using like euphemisms, like I say, we show them the way of the arrow, that kind of thing.
No, I wouldn't have said, we could do the kill them all just outright. My brother knows I'm always on board with that, but It's
That's what we do.
it seems to me, these people are doing what they're doing because they were told 2 years ago by someone that they didn't question. They have no idea why they're doing it. They don't know if it's right or wrong. They don't know if they're lied to or not, because again, they didn't ask any questions or attempt to determine, was this order legitimate? They just said,
I
"Oh,
wonder-
this is a powerful person. We have to do this." But the one thing that sort of stuck with me is the past tense of they were friends. So if someone's going after more power after the death of whoever the over person was that was sort of keeping them in check,
Anyariel.
Anyariel, then maybe the water nymph would be willing to give up information on at least what she thinks the fire nymph is doing. And is it actually for the benefit of these people, or is it a power grab for her individually, or whatever?
We can go talk to the leader of the village first.
Papuvin or whatever that is.
Yeah, and just see if he knows more than what this Tijann does. Maybe he knows more about why they're doing it.
I'm pretty sure there's a piece of shrubbery on the side of this river that knows more than what Tijann does.
I mean, she's a little pixie like Faye. I mean, she doesn't know a ton, and they're not. I mean, not every pixie is an Einstein. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it only took 5 rounds of nobody shooting back at them for them to stop shooting. I don't like these people already. I didn't like them then. I don't like them now. And this one has 0 information.
I might.
You guys
keep
are
these
harsh.
at-
So yeah, I say we go talk to the leader of the village first, see if he knows anything more, and if not, then we go talk to the water chick.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Okay. All right. So you guys, before you guys disembark the boat near the Seela village and begin following Tijann through this little valley area in between two hills down in the village, you have any other questions or anything that you want to know from her?
We do set the boat alarm, so we hit the button and chirp, chirp.
Boat alarm. Deet, 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 deet. She likes that. She's like, that's a nice chirper. No other questions for her or any of the other Fae?
We keep an eye on our boat, keep it safe.
Oh, sure. Your boat will be perfectly safe here. There's nothing to fear in this area. We, no creatures would dare to harm your boat here. Don't worry.
I do have a question. Like, if you're singing to keep this creature contained and you stop singing, is it free? And if you start, I mean, she taught him a song, they started singing and it was contained. So let's say we uncontain it and things go a little bit south. Can they not stop singing again and recontain it? Or
Oh no, Tamber told us that if we ever stopped, even for a single moment, that the creature would be released and he would be unbound and able to do what to destroy the forest and everyone in it.
okay.
So now Wraither's going to say out loud, what if Tamber was lying the whole time?
Is that to Tijann? You're asking Tijann?
Well, I'm just saying it to the air. She's talking.
Oh,
Everything she said so far is we just trusted this thing. We didn't question it. We didn't do anything. So I'm not even looking for an answer from her, just to put it in her head. What if this thing was lying the whole time?
She would actually respond and she's like, oh no, Tamber would never do that. She's the lady of the fiery glade. She would never tell us anything but the truth. And
wait. Didn't you say you only met her once?
Well, yes, but I know of the stories, and I know of the importance of that she has to
So
the thing.
you have third-hand knowledge,
And she's the one who told me all
and
those
you have
stories.
one person who you've met this person one time and immediately believed everything they told you.
Well, yes.
That doesn't sound like very good gatekeeping to me.
Sounds like we need to find a bunch of Fae to serve us because they'll pretty much do whatever we want.
Exactly. I'm thinking about becoming king of the Fae at about this point. I'll just tell them that I need donuts and pizza every couple of days, and they're just going to bring it because they don't ask questions.
You can have donuts and pizza, but they're German donuts and St. Louis pizza.
Oh God.
Oh God.
Never.
Never mind.
Never mind.
Thus is the nature of the curse. You must only have Provel.
The curse of St. Louis pizza. Let's move on.
There is no greater curse. All right, so
there's not.
So you guys continue down the thing, and put in a couple of miles down the way. It doesn't take very long. That you guys put in your boat at the side of the thing, and you see some of the pixies that had accompanied Vuhl sort of fly off. We'll fly out ahead. And Tiljann's like, I'll show you the way. And she, sort of helps you with the boat, and you guys disembark and you begin walking what looks to be a pretty well-worn or well-used path through the fire forest. You can see what you mean. You see what Tijann meant when she says we'll go between the two hills, because in the distance you can sort of see two like hills, and you guys are heading straight in the middle for it, and there's like this winding path that goes in between these two relatively large hills, and you find yourself coming up into the Fey village.
Les,
Mm-hmm.
I got a roll 20 question. For some reason, I can't minimize the size of everyone's icons.
Oh, go into your wheel.
The wheel, I got it.
Okay.
Personalization and display.
Yes.
Yeah, they just changed a bunch of this stuff.
And it doesn't give me where I want the tokens.
It's audio and video, and then video display.
Audio, video,
There it is.
video display,
And then change that to names only.
names only. Thank you so much. While you guys have been talking, I've been struggling with that. All right. Okay. Thank you.
Well, you don't like looking at my pretty face?
Oh, no, it's not that. It's just that I get too distracted by your pretty face.
And you can't see half the map. I know
And
that's
I
why
can't
we all
see
have
half the
gotten rid of
map,
it.
so.
I get too distracted. That's why I just keep a picture of Chuck on my wallpaper on a background.
I was talking about race, not me. I'm not
Oh.
distracting anybody.
Oh.
Marla says it's on your seat.
Yeah, right. That's what I meant. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah, that's what you meant to say.
All right, so you guys end up going through this passageway, almost this little valley with a little creek kind of going through it, as you emerge into this area that is a sort of a shoreline. You can see in the distance as you sort of come up over a little rise. You can see in the distance there's like the fire forest, a little bush range of fire forest stuff sort of against the edge of the thing, and then what looks to be some sort of lake, and there's some steam coming off of it near the shore and stuff like that. And you can see as you approach that there are other Fey kind of like kicking around. So you guys move forward here with Tijann in the lead, and you can see that there are a bunch of little sort of wooden huts that and whole caves that are burrowed into the sides of these hills, that you can see a bunch of Fey sort of standing around talking. Over here, you hear them first, but you don't see them right away, are about a half dozen Fey who are either on top of or standing around what looks to be a relatively small sort of observation tower. You've seen those sort of observation towers, those fire watch towers in the forest. It kind of looks like a smaller version of that. It's only about 15 feet high at the top, but there are several Fey. 3 of the Fey are standing on top of there. Some are standing around the edge, and they are all singing a very sonorous, kind of haunting song. It's not altogether pleasant. It has some discordant notes, but they are singing as they face, and they're all facing outward over the lake.
So
I
can I
counted, there's only 35 of them. I think we can take them.
Can I do a perception to see if I see Owlboy in the area?
Well, I see him. And why is his health bar all the way back? He was knocking on death's door when we last saw him.
I don't know.
Well,
But yeah, I
actually-
mean, so Chuck, as Wraith looks around, yeah, I mean, down the way, you can see him. He's talking with a bunch of these guys down here. And as soon as he turns around and see you guys, these guys sort of cluster around him, and he begins walking very quickly towards y'all as he's coming out there, and he's yelling as he does so. And he comes up to about here.
There he is. Okay, I found him.
He moves very quickly, and he's got like sort of his posse around him, and he's like, Papuvin, these are the ones that attacked me at the bridge. I was trying to speak with Tijann, and these outlanders attacked me. I cannot believe that that Tijann, you've brought them here. What would you bring these? Look at my wounds. They struck me with arrows and magical spells. These humans and their friends. They're interlopers in here, brought into the forest. Papuvin, you must do something. Do something, or I will. And you see these guys sort of like kind of tense up, you know, when Vuhl sort of like, these are obviously like guys who have been sort of followers of Vuhl. And when Vuhl is like, do something or I will, and he's sort of standing in front of him, when you definitely get the impression that when he says I will, it means me and all my buddies will.
Stand down, Vuhl. These are visitors to our village, and they've been brought to us and guided to us by our trusted friend Tijann.
Yeah, what he said.
Papuvin, have you lost your mind? I showed you my wounds when I returned a few hours ago. You saw what they've done. How can you say this?
I have seen your wounds, and I have understood that things happen of a nature that sometimes we cannot control. So they are visitors, and we shall hear their case.
They are outsiders to the fire forest, as you can plainly see, and malevolent murderers or assassins. They tried.
And you have proof of this.
The proof is in the damage to my feathers and the holes in my flesh.
How interesting it is that you are not dead.
Well, it was only by the grace of the speed of my wings that I was able to escape. I was sorry that I couldn't bring my fellow villagers with me, and I'd hoped that they would be safe and flee as well. I do not know what happened afterward, and I am ashamed of my temporary cowardice. But I am coward no more. I will see these creatures punished for their temerity.
So how interesting it is that one is the cowardice wades flows away when you are with greater numbers. Now stand down and let us hear their case.
You can see he's a bit shamed by this. And everybody's sort of like, all of the faces are sort of like looking around, because obviously Papuvin is, we come in peace.
At which point Rafe unleashes a volley of arrows.
We come in peace.
We come in peace.
The peace of Mars. And so he kind of like backs off. And he's like, well, I find this to be unprecedented. Are we, and he's sort of mumbling under his, but he does capitulate to Papuvin and say, look, and you can tell that he's somewhat ashamed to be called out for running away in front of all these people.
Arendar is going to lean to Wraith and twin speak, say, well, he actually is telling the truth about the only reason he's still alive is because he got away quickly.
Got that right.
So you're saying that you targeted Vuhl?
He's talking, I think Papuvin's talking to you guys now.
Yeah, now I'm talking to you guys. So you're saying that you've targeted Vuhl.
What he just said is in a language you don't understand.
Oh
yeah, they're speaking twin speak. Yeah, you wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, you heard us make some funky noise. Yeah,
it's like.
Wah, 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 wah.
Yeah, we talk like the
Osei Hut way.
Ixnay the in-speak way.
So if no one else says anything, Arendar is going to say, the only thing we're guilty of is keeping that owl creature from killing this one. Tijann.
Well, and then Papuvin would look at Tijann and be like, is this true?
Yeah, that's exactly what he would do. What? And then kind of thing.
Tijann would be like, I'm sorry, Papuvin. It's possible I misinterpreted it at first. It could be that Vuhl just came to speak to me. I was surprised that he brought so many of our friends with him, but it could have been all just a great misunderstanding. He did speak to me at first.
So a misunderstanding that led to some violent altercation, and Vuhl did show us wounds. So tell me more. What
I think our new friends from outside the fire force they were just trying to defend me. I've spoken with them and for the last several hours and told them about our issues here and about Tamber and Guinevera and all of the things that have befallen us over the last couple of years, and I do not find in them any evil. They are not like the hobbits of the South. They are my friends, and I think that maybe they just misunderstood, as I may have, Vuhl's intentions when he came to speak to me, and they stepped in to defend, and for that I'm in their debt.
Okay.
It may have been just a big misunderstanding.
Yeah, several of us have little pinpricks from all the people that Vuhl
Misunderstood.
ordered to attack us.
That same pixie that left you guys earlier is like, that is all hearsay.
And
He flies off real quick.
yeah, and the only person we engaged was the person that ordered her attack and our attack. We did not attack anyone who attacked us other than the person who gave the order.
One of the pixies is sort of flying around, one of the pixies that you guys saw from before, and he sort of like comes down and lands next to Papuvin and is like, "That's true, boss. They didn't shoot a single arrow on us. I admit I may have plunked one or two of them or tried to stick them, but they didn't shoot anything at us. It was only at Vuhl." And there was the issue of we did some detect. One of the guys did detect good on him, and it's a little odd there.
detect good on these newcomers?
On the newcomers and Vuhl.
Newcomers and Vuhl, and while not all the newcomers are good, most of them are. But we couldn't detect anything on Vuhl. I don't know what's wrong there. Maybe it's a remnant of his depression. He's been suffering lately, and we're fresh out of frickin' Xanaxes around here. Believe me, I know.
Oh, boy.
That phase Xanax is powerful, but you got to have it on hand.
You got to have it on hand. You speak a universal truth. Oh, pixie pharmacist.
Thanks, boss.
Okay. Well, Tijann, you are vouching for these these newcomers. What was based on your endorsement? Why don't we get out of the entranceway of the village and step in so that we might get better
Around them better.
Sounds good. And yes, I do vouch for them. They're my new friends, and I think that they're though they be outsiders to the fire force, I think their hearts are in the right place, and I don't think that they meant us any harm. I think maybe they can help us. They had very many interesting things to say, and they say they have met the creature that we sing the song to bind him from escape. They say they've met him. I personally, I think they've deceived with him, but I think they may have some very interesting things to say.
Oh, yeah, that is very interesting. Tell me more about your encounter.
Well, I don't remember all of it. It's been 2 hours is a long time to remember. But perhaps they can tell you. And
right, but I'm really addressing. It's like, okay, we're into the village here.
And Faceman did his diplomacy check.
All right, so Titus is doing a diplomacy check. What are you saying, bud? So 22 is pretty good.
I'm pretty much echoing what's already been said. Is that, look, we know we need to know what's going on. We'd like to get things straightened out. We have business in and beyond the fire forest, so this affects us as well, and we'd like to help. But in order to do that, we need to get to the bottom of everything and find out what's going on so that we can help the righteous cause.
Yeah, what he said.
It's a pickle. And
well, what's your cause? I mean, okay, I mean, you have said that, you have this cause. So what state your business? I mean, what brought you to conversing at the first part? What brought you to conversing with this creature that we are told to sing in order to keep it
Docile?
keep it held, so to speak.
Well,
I'm
it
trying
begins
to
like this. We are warriors, defenders, and diplomats of Gate Pass. We have gone on a journey to help save our fair beloved town from evil, evil, evil. And then I relay very high level what we've gone through, divulging nothing more than we've already shared with everyone else, but putting it into one neat package, all 2 hours worth or more of the battles we fought and the enemies we faced and how we are struggling to do what's right for the fire forest. In the end, I think
We're just
you'll
trying to get through
see that we are friends of the denizens and citizens of the fire forest.
So Papuvin would
Yeah, I
know.
was
You know Gate Pass.
Yeah,
You've
okay.
you've never been there, obviously, but you know of Gate Pass, and you know it to be generally friendly to the elves and the denizens of the fire forest. You also know of the Sargavans.
Hobbits.
Yeah, generally friendly. You also know of the Sargavans and their forebears, the Chilaxians, who you know have been a force for evil in this region as well. Now, not all of them. You've met the odd, decent Sargavan, but it's the exception rather than the rule. These with a 22 diplomacy check. Can you do a? I should do the sense motive for Papuvin.
Yeah, because I don't know any of his stats.
And I'm not going to tell you either. Control of the statistics belongs solely to the dungeon master, and that is me.
Until you make your roll.
I have to find it. I lost my bookmark. Here we go.
Papuvin is going to also be looking to see what is Vuhl doing. Because in all honesty, I did not intend, for the party to be, to give the impression that they're going to be surrounded. But now that I see from the map, the way that they were moved in, that's what they might think.
No, that was a joke that
Yeah, but still.
I can tell that Papuvin is surreptitiously trying to look for testicles on his neck without anyone noticing.
What's going on there?
Okay.
But yeah, so Papuvin could see Vuhl quite easily. Vuhl is sort of standing there listening to all of this and sort of trying. It looks like trying to recapture the esteem of his followers over there by saying, well, this is what happened. You can see that these guys are. Papuvin rolls a 20 on sense motive, which is less than the diplomacy check. So Papuvin generally
believes
him. Yeah, I mean, he's like, these things ring true to me.
I forgot all about the testicles. Can we ask him to look at the back of the neck? Because we feel like there's foul play at play.
We think there's magic going on.
Mm-hmm.
Do you say that? Look, we've seen these.
We saw something that seemed very incongruous with what we.
Actually, it was only Poe, wasn't it?
Was it?
I think it was just Poe saw it, and
I think Poe was the only one that saw it.
Yeah, but he told everybody about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say that we all knew. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, I would just suggest that perhaps Vuhl would let his neck be examined by this.
It was snorting fairy dust at that time.
Yeah, someone who can detect a magic illusion. Use that to check him out.
Vuhl, so when you guys start talking about this, Vuhl steps up and says, it's one thing to have to stand these potential assassins being in our village, talking to our chief and saying the most slanderous things about members of this village, including me. It is quite another to submit to some sort of ham-handed outsider inspection. I will not.
So you have something to hide? Bondrum will ask him.
Do you have some sort of trick you plan to pull on my countrymen to deceive them like you've deceived Tijann?
No, we'll let
I'll
them,
stand
we'll let
back.
them do their thing.
We'll all still stand back and they can examine you on their own. Who
They
else?
should
Papuvin-
submit.
Yeah, Papuvin says, so you come, Grant, what is it exactly that you think is going on? I mean, granted, it seems like there was this misunderstanding for, that there was a fight. But you want us to look at a countryman based on your, of course,
Based on what we saw, which amongst our own party, if we had seen the same thing, we would be closely investigating to make sure that one of us was not interloped on. It's possible that your good friend Vuhl might actually be in danger himself and have been, someone might be impersonating or controlling him.
This is preposterous.
unless the problem is,
Detect good on me. That should be sufficient.
They did, and they didn't detect good.
yeah, the issue is also the roll, the 20 is less than the diplomacy check. So, I mean, like you just said,
Well, this is so.
Papuvin-
Remember, Papuvin. Vuhl is his friend and countryman.
I know,
and he's known
I
for
know.
decades. You don't have you have a bunch of wild-eyed dudes show up at your garage
I
and saying,
know.
"Hey, I think
That's
I saw
okay.
your wife has a big mole on the back of her leg. I'd like to take a look."
yeah, okay. All right.
Like, who are you guys again?
Yeah, really. Who are you guys again? Yes, we're the
The one
wandering
who-
medical team,
The one who's gonna take his next level in Rangers so he can have favorite enemy Faye.
Well, come on, Papuvin, I can look at you and tell you've always been a little curious about what's under Vuhl's neck feathers. Just a little bit curious.
Well, Vuhl is like, I won't stand for this. I won't listen to
Yeah.
this stuff. Come, everyone, come back. Let's leave these interlopers to their business. But we shan't have any part of it. And he actually, leads a bunch of his dudes. Some of the guys still hang around, but he leads a bunch of those guys back to the other side of the thing. And you can see them sort of talking about amongst themselves over at the other end of the
I'm
village area.
just going to insinuate to him, I said he leaves because he has something to hide, but that is your business, not ours.
That well said. Well said. So again, what was the you most curious of your, I guess, circumstance for talking to this fire creature, and what information was there exchanged? And I mean, we're told 2 years ago, to sing, to keep this thing chained, so to speak, and keep it from whatever, getting away. And now you're saying that you've gone and, had lunch with it or something.
I played
Yeah.
that genial.
Yeah.
Well, we inspected its neck and found it to be completely innocent of all charges.
If you called lunch, losing one of our own, sure.
So do you
Okay,
tell her?
well.
Do you tell him about Torrent and how she died at the hands of the,
Yeah,
of the fire marshal and all that
Yeah,
stuff?
if no one else is right to the point, then that's kind of Arendar's specialty. He's going to jump right up there. Okay.
Embarrassing everybody.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And just basically say, this is what happened. We're trying to go through the fire forest, came across this creature, killed one of our own. We got strong-armed into a deal to free it so it could leave, which would help the forest, it said, and then we could leave the forest. So on the way here, we came across this argument going on. We saw that they were about to attack Tijann, so we intervened to stop the death, and then started talking with her after coward over there ran away. And then we've been talking, basically told her that creature asked us to free it and then it would leave.
So
We think there's a possibility that we've been lied to, so we don't want to blindly do that, but we want to know what you know, and we're sharing information so you can help us make sense of what's going on, so you guys can be safe, do whatever you need to do, and we can leave the forest, which is what our end goal is. We just want to go through the forest.
Well, it just seems like you're putting a lot of trust in a creature that killed one of your compatriots.
Oh, we don't trust it. But that's that's the only story we had until we talked to you guys.
All right.
Now we're hearing a second side. Now we're at least open to the possibility that we've been lied to. So we're sharing everything we know with you so we can figure it out together.
And it even was disconcerting to us that Vuhl would agree with us. As you know, it was set up that you guys were protecting yourselves. So why would a member of your party all of a sudden be fighting against his own to strive after a goal that we too were pursuing, and we were pursuing it to help that creature, that entrapped creature. So, and that's why we saw the thing on the back of his neck too, and just knew that we were not prepared to follow our original instructions, and there seemed to be more to this. And that releasing this creature might actually hurt the Fae of the forest, which is not our goal.
Right. We're convinced there's some kind of deception going on. We just don't know what it is.
Yeah.
What was the
Yes.
it's all it.
They get acne too. We
Yeah,
don't like it.
We don't like it at all.
And their tentacles.
So what was the nature? What was the, I guess, what's the foundation of, oh, I had a question already until I saw zit.
Sorry.
Yeah.
We blame us for everything. So
Yeah. So we have been told by Tamar to sing this song that you probably are hearing, you know, in the background.
Yeah, it's obvious. It's sort of a sonorous, sort of droning song.
Yeah. So
it does have a certain kind of, you know, fey quality to it.
okay. So we were told, you know, 2 years ago to sing this song by a fire fae, right, Tamar.
yeah.
And in order to keep us protected from the creature that killed your compatriot. And so
It's not
Vuhl,
working because it just killed one of our compatriots.
Well, what he's saying is like, look, the penalties that Tamar told them, the penalties were the entirety of the forest. Everything in the forest would be destroyed, including every fae here, every fae from the other villages. Everything would be destroyed. The forest itself would be destroyed in the wrath of this creature's release, and that's why it was so important to keep it bound. Because not only are they saving their own lives, but they're saving the lives of everything in the fire forest. And the fire forest is huge.
and in all honesty, you know, without going in, you know, I would imagine that you're not going to just go into detail about how exactly close you got to the creature and you know, and all that.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah,
Okay, well, the point is,
back.
I mean, you know, if a creature is, the argument that Papuvin's going to be at least going down is that you would want something that powerful to be contained. Okay. And hence that's why we're singing this song. And I know that Vuhl over here is, and some of his compatriots, they simply have a different opinion. And we've been arguing back and forth on the trying to, should we keep singing or should we not keep singing?
I'm going to interrupt and ask, for how long have you been arguing that point?
It only has been
it's only really,
yeah, only maybe maybe a month and a half. It all sort of, it was only about 5 or 6 weeks ago when Vuhl really started to begin making the case that we can't, that this village cannot continue like this.
Does it not strike you odd that something may have changed in Vuhl, and now you're having people here that are trying to have an honest conversation with you, suggesting that they saw visually something that might have changed with Vuhl, that perhaps you might want to investigate that before making any decisions?
It sounds like Vuhl may be going through puberty if he's sprouting zits.
He's got zits, he's got weird ideas, he's depressed. He's listening to that new wave music.
Just a thought.
He makes a good point, and you could tell Papuvin that. Does Vondram have any Fey influence in her, or she's just a crazy dwarf?
Yeah, no Fey influence
Okay.
whatsoever. No ability to negotiate. I have no bluff skills, no intimidate skills. Well, maybe some intimidation, but
Well, who's the,
Oh,
I'm just a grumpy old grouchy old dwarf that's just trying to get you to open up your eyes to the possibility that you might have one in your own that is.
I
Wes,
can bluff and
didn't Poe see
intimidate.
tentacles coming out of that owl thing
Yeah.
too?
thought he did, yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I want to make sure that
Tentacles.
that
word
is talked about, that I saw tentacles coming out of this thing in its neck. There's something wrong with that creature unless it normally has tentacles that come out of its neck. I mean, I don't know what. I was raised in the witch market. I understand a lot of Fae. I've never seen one that has tentacles come out of their neck.
What about the Octofae?
Well, yeah, but this isn't a.
I made that up. Well, and so Papuvin, to your point, I mean, you could do a sense motive on Poe, but the moment he starts talking about, I mean, you recognize that he does have some Fey connections.
yeah, that's what I'm looking, I'm reading this and I'm thinking,
He does, and when he mentions the witch market, I grew up in the witch market. That's a big deal for Fae, and sort of a higher level thing. I mean, you're a creature of this forest, and I don't know if you guys got a look at Papuvin when we first came in, or I think so, but you know, he looks like this, sort of a woody, elvish creature kind of deal.
Yeah, cool.
But yeah, the witch market, that's a level of like arcane Fey magic that's beyond you. You're a creature of the forest.
I would say that that we should. I believe that Poe, you have spoken a wisdom that is seldom seen or heard, not seen, but seldom heard, outside, our extended community. I believe that this is a reason and gives enough credence for us to hold what our village calls an assayance, where you are allowed to ask questions you are allowed to ask questions of both Vuhl, and Tijann about the nature of this altercation in the woods, the nature of your concerns, of Vuhl's point of view, and then allow us to take that information to Tamber and allow her to be with her conversation with Guinevera to make a final judgment on this whole beast that was trying to hold in the forest.
So yeah, Papuvin basically says, look, you guys coming here is sort of, I mean, we don't have, it's a sign. We don't have visitors here. And the fact that it's you're coming here, your claim that you have spoken to the creature, the disagreements with Vuhl, yet you seemingly side with him. Let's have an assayance. And the word he uses, an assayance, is sort of like a trial or something like that. And he's basically saying, look, we'll set this up. We'll set Vuhl on one side, Tijann on the other, to speak for both sides of this conflict. You may ask them any question you want, and by our traditions, they have to answer truthfully. And then you, as the sort of the outside third-party arbitrator, will decide what you think we should, what should be the course of action, and what we should take to Tamber to tell her what we're going to basically inform Timbre of what we're going to do, either to continue on with the song, if you should so decide, or to stop and face whatever consequences. We owe it to Timbre to tell her to her face what the decision is, but Papuvin basically is like, this has been a question that we have been unable to answer in our village. What should be done? Perhaps you have come here today to help us answer that question.
And made observations that we have overlooked for one reason or another.
Mhm.
And it's worth your presence as a sign might give us the enlightenment to correct that.
Well, here's my concern. I think Vuhl is not going to be honest and forthcoming. I think any,
Vuhl.
what?
Vuhl isn't Vuhl.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
It could be
possible. he's
Vuhl,
not
but
here.
he might have something inside of him that's changing what he does.
Although it's highly complimentary that we'd be invited to this meeting, I think within yourselves, you might first want to inspect Vuhl yourselves with all the resources you have at hand to make
Yes,
sure
that
you
would-
really have Vuhl.
That would be a good question to ask, is ask yourselves why you're not checking his neck.
Well, Papuvin would then go say, okay, hold on a second. Well, he calls over a couple of the pixies that you guys recognize were with you at that bridge, and he says, "Which among you has cast a detection of good upon Vuhl at the bridge where he came to speak to Tijann?" And the other, sort of shyly, one kind of flies up, is like, "I did it," and he's like, "And what was your finding?" He's like, "I did not detect any evil. I did not see any evil within him."
Were you
So-
detecting evil?
When Papuvin would look to you guys, he says, "Is that not satisfactory?"
No, he didn't answer the question.
Well, did you do the similar detections on these men and women here?
He did detect good.
If there are any women, which I can't think if there aren't any. So these men, these humans, and he said, "We did, and we did not detect any. We did not see any evil within them as well."
What did you detect?
Detected good.
What spell did you use? What ability did you use?
Well, they get a little twitchy at that point. They're like, "Well, we have our detection spells, and it's really complicated. It's fey magic, and sometimes it
It's-
doesn't work the exact
It's
way
not
as you
really
think it does."
complicated. You detected good and found none.
We detected good on you as well, and found some that had no good.
Did
But
you
that does
detect-
not necessarily mean that
Did
that
you
is evil.
Did you specifically detect evil?
No.
Do you have the ability to do that?
No.
Well then, what you've just said was a lot of wind that means nothing.
Like it sounds like a 17-year-old boy right now.
Well, and you get the impression that these guys are like, look, remember these pixies were on Vuhl's side of the equation, right? They're like some of his guys, and they're not going to be like, well, first of all, they don't know how to detect evil, so they couldn't do it. They detected good.
Right.
They didn't
And
detect
found-
good, but that doesn't.
Right.
But they did the same thing to you guys, and on certain people they didn't detect any good either. So the case could be. I mean, you get the impression not only from these Fae, but also from Papuvin, that they're very much willing to give Vuhl the benefit of the doubt. I mean, it's understandable, and Papuvin might even say this: look, it's understandable for you to be suspicious, but we know him. He's lived with us his whole life.
And he never until 6 weeks ago began to display different temperament, opinions, and we're here to tell you appearances, unless you feel like tentacles out of the back of the neck are a normal thing. And now it begins to lead me to question, and being a grumpy dwarf, I think I can say this, whether you're all damn screwed in the head.
Does any of our casters have detect magic?
I believe so.
I can if need be.
I have another question. I have another question for
Yes,
the,
I have detect magic.
the fair folk who were there.
Okay.
So one of the ones that was flinging arrows. Or more than
They've
one.
sort of made themselves a little scarcer, but
No, no.
yeah, there's a couple there.
Okay, so when you were given the order by Vuhl What was the order you were given? We're all soldiers. I'm a soldier. Apparently you're a soldier with a bow as well. So what order were you given specifically?
Well, he told us beforehand that we were supposed to help him convince Tijann that she had the wrong idea. I mean,
And when he told you to convince them by any means necessary, how did you take that order?
well, we certainly weren't going to. We were certainly going to hurt her, if that's what you mean.
You mean by flinging arrows at her, as you did?
I mean,
That was designed not to hurt her?
well, I mean, did any of those arrows hit her?
Come on
No.
now.
No,
As
but
I
they
said,
protected her.
we're both soldiers. We're both archers. Are you really going to play stupid? You were given an order. You understood what that order meant. What was it?
I have to go. I'll be right back. And he flies off.
And I'll look at the leader. There you go.
Papuvin, I don't know how you would react to that, but it does call into question. I mean,
Your soldiers won't answer the question because they know the answer to the question, but it makes them look bad.
they do seem a little bit embarrassed about something.
Papuvin would, I would say this gives even more credence for us to move into the assailants.
The assailants has no physical verification that we're even dealing with a creature that's trustworthy. We're actually challenging the actual trustworthiness and reality of that creature being who you think that creature is. We come from many different places and areas and planes, and we're adventurers, and we've seen many, many things that hopefully you will never see here in the forest. And we're telling you, without asking to take or abuse or hurt your fellow compatriot, to take time yourself to investigate the physical change, the possibility of physical changes, that he's been replaced, or it makes no sense to go into an assailant with a creature that may not be the creature you think he is.
And therefore won't subscribe to the traditions that you think they will.
And then
Right.
you'll be left with making a decision based on something that's an error. And all we're asking is that we would like to really get down to the bottom of this, as would you. But
Tijann seems like she's a bit shocked that you would suggest that someone would lie during an assayance. That's it's unheard of. I mean, it's like she's like, I can't. I may disagree with Vuhl. I may disagree, and I think there probably was a misunderstanding, and that some of the pixies took their orders a little bit too literally. But I can't imagine the Vuhl
what?
that I know.
Wait, what? You took your order? No, all of your orders you take literally.
Well, not all of them. Sometimes they're
They're
metaphorical.
pixies.
No, they're not metaphorical. He told them to shoot you and they tried.
She's like,
He told them to shoot us and they tried, and in several cases succeeded.
well, she even now, Tijann feels like, well, it must have been some sort of misunderstanding. There's no way that the Vuhl that I know, no matter how much we disagree, would
Precisely.
ever seek me to do me harm.
That is precisely the truth. The Vuhl that you know would not do that. But this individual did.
Know what happened.
This individual did. Therefore, they cannot be the Vuhl that you know.
we witnessed it.
Following your own logic.
Right.
Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Oh, they're smoking.
I don't know, Papuvin. How would Papuvin react to that? You were the wise man of the village.
The thing about it is that
it's a good point.
it's all very good points. That's where all of a sudden you have to start getting into the issue of pride. And that is that here that Vuhl, is a longtime, friend of everyone in the village. And yeah, so he gets upset the past couple of weeks, is not enough for these folks that come in and just tell us how we're supposed to go about doing this.
We're coming in and telling you that we are not doing that which we actually came here to do, because we are questioning our own direction and decision, which happened to be in league with Vuhl's. If we had pursued what we actually came here to do, Tijann would be dead, as would all of these other little scenes say around you. But
That's
because we
some gruff dwarf talk there. If we didn't stop and take a breath and talk to Tijann, we'd have murdered you all by now.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not that our intent is to make Vuhl a bad guy within your clan. Our intent is to get to the reality of the bottom. We are not evil creatures. We are simply trying to get through this forest. We struck a deal to save our asses with this thing, thinking that perhaps he was imprisoned unfairly, but the information isn't adding up. And we're not afraid to question ourselves and get to the bottom of the reality. I'm so confused as to why you would not be willing to question yourselves when you have somebody that has been valued and appreciated within the community for so many years that's all of a sudden acting irrationally, striking out at its fellow man. And you have us standing here telling you we're trying to get to the bottom of this, and we've seen tentacles coming out of the back of the neck. Why would we make that up? We would just kill him. We have the capacity. We could have done it before we even had a chance to get back here, but we're trying to work with you. And
Well, I would suggest that if you all are certainly skilled and experienced and powerful adventurers, certainly more powerful than we here. We're simple folk, and if we don't go if you refuse to go through the process of assayance, at least giving it a chance, the only thing that we have to do is to take our argument and our situation to that which is more powerful than us, and that would be, we go, instead of going through the assayance, we go straight to Guinevere or Guinevera or in timbre. So I mean, that is our only recourse. It is how we settle disputes. And I mean,
but I'll look to the other. I mean, it doesn't bother Vonran to do that and skip all this, what he would consider BS, because he doesn't trust Vuhl. But I look to the rest of the people in our group.
Yeah. I'd say one of our casters who can cast detect magic, if you can do that and see if you see any kind of illusion magic on Vuhl.
I can do
Or
that.
any kind of like charm.
see,
or anything
See,
like
that's
that.
the tricky bit about illusion magic.
Well,
Yeah.
and the thing about it is, if we can and they can't, we're right back to where we started from.
Right.
So they don't have all they have the ability to do is detect good. They detected good, found none, which should be considered anomalous for them, but they're all sort of chaotic stupid
A lot of fair
just-
neutral too. There's, I
and
mean,
just
Oh,
trying
they
to.
are fair, neutral. They're not.
oh
listening
yeah.
to what they
a
Well,
lot
want.
but this
of-
guy's
it can be anything.
this guy's been with them for all these years. They've known this guy since they were little kids. They should know what he is. And if that turns out to not be the case now, then it's anomalous. And they don't want to see that. They want to justify it and they want to ignore it and they want to move on because that's uncomfortable. So it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what we're capable of as far as detecting magic, illusion, possession, any of that.
Yeah.
It's only what they're capable of, because until they see it with their own, and it's not one of these little butt heads that sees that something's wrong and then doesn't want to say anything because they're scared. I gotta go, fly off in the middle of questioning.
Yeah.
It's gotta be one of the important ones or it's not gonna work.
Well,
Now, the only thing that might work is if we have the ability to detect this person is under an illusion or in some other way protected from detection or something like that. If we had the ability to dispel that magic and bring them to what they actually are at the moment, in the case of an illusion or doppelganger type situation, where it then becomes obvious to everyone watching, that to me would be the only way that it would make sense to them. Because that's what we have to do is have it make sense to them one way or the other.
can you guys do dispel magic?
No, it's third level spell.
I don't think so. I don't think any of us have it.
Like I said, it's third level. We're not high enough
Okay.
yet.
Yeah.
The detect magic would be nice, even though you're right, we couldn't prove that to them because it's only the caster that can tell.
Mhm.
At least we would know 100%. This is the issue,
Okay.
or this is not the issue.
How about if can we burst to hurt evil and only the evil would be hurt?
No,
Who can do that?
even clerics that burst The
Yeah.
negative burst harms undead, not evil.
Yeah.
I can detect evil, but I don't have it.
Is there any spell that
Alright.
we have that only works on evil or any weapon?
Heavenly fire. I have heavenly fire.
But once
Only
again,
works
what
on
I'm,
evil or I.
But
can
that's a
use it, you know.
straight up attack, isn't it?
Yeah, really.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And the other thing,
Straight
But
what I'm saying was that goes back to having the leader of the Fae believe that
Yeah.
what Andrew's
But what if-
character tells him is true.
What if Gondrum said, cast heavenly fire on me? I'm not evil. I will be fine. And anyone else, I mean, they can watch the spell be performed the same way, and then we can put Mr. Vuhl next to us and cast it on him. It doesn't happen to be a ray, does it? That would affect everybody within a ray, or is it one person? or-
it's a range touch.
Yeah, so it's one person at a time.
And if you're good, it heals you.
Gondrum
Good or
put
neutral
himself
heals
in
you.
that, just to get.
Be right
past that.
You go
Gondrum's running out of patience, so he'd do it.
yeah, and I happen to have a scroll of dispel magic.
The only bad thing about that is it's not guaranteed because then it becomes a caster check.
Right.
So you can use that scroll, cast it, and it's still not.
And it may not work, in which case, again,
And if it doesn't work, to
These
them,
Fae-
that proves
these
the
Fae
point
t-
that
seem to be intentionally dumb.
I mean, with a touch attack, it literally, you are touched, you touch the person you're attacking, you can't miss, right?
Yeah, with the range
you have
touch,
to do a roll unless they're
right, you
unless they're
succeed.
willingly taking it, then yeah, you'd have to do a roll.
So even if he said he was willingly take it, could he fight it in his mind? Is the will say?
I would say, me as a DM, if it's a range touch attack and the person says that they're willingly accepting it, they're not moving, then to me that should not be a roll.
Yeah, because it's an AC / dexterity thing. They're trying to get out of the way of the ray, not be touched by it.
But yeah,
you
if
should-
they're willingly taking it.
You should be able to see if the ray hit them to know
Sorry.
whether that happened.
Like I said,
It's not like a
will.
will save where you can't really prove whether it worked or whether they saved against it or any of that. So it would be slightly different, I think, but
I think the spell would be nice to detect magic, just to know if there's a field going on him, just so we know at least something is going on. There's no way via spells, I don't think we can convince.
While you guys are talking, I need to step away for a minute.
Yep. There's no way via spells, I think we can.
So like,
convince them.
don't attack Papuvin
Well, I mean, if we did
Oh, we're
heavenly
attacking
fire,
it now.
until I get back.
if we did heavenly fire and it hurt him, wouldn't that be an answer? Because it would only,
Yeah,
But
well,
they don't know this spell. They don't,
Right.
to be honest, they don't know that he's not casting a separate spell that just uses the same.
but they
Right.
could tell they should be able
Incantation.
to tell the verbiage is the same, the I mean, the hand movements and everything.
Well,
A studied arcane caster could probably know that, but
and if they were acting intelligently, perhaps.
yeah, but they're
But like I said, they're being intentionally obtuse, basically.
yeah.
They're purposely not wanting to believe. I mean, it's like an illusion. They don't want to disbelieve it because this is some guy they've known since they were kids or some guy that's been here forever, as far as they're concerned. So if it's not the same guy, however magically he's changed, they don't want to believe it. So anything we can do is going to be irrelevant. It only matters what they can do as far
Right.
as the detection is concerned.
And so all they know is they know with the surety that he's not good, but he can be neutral or he can be evil.
Right.
So they're all going to err on the side of assuming he's neutral.
Because otherwise they have all been wrong all this time. And none of them want to admit any of that. I mean, that's the
We
ego
don't-
thing.
And none of us have any other weapons or spells or anything that would be more clear cut. That would,
Oh, I have weapons that would be clear cut and so does,
Yes.
and
no, I meant that would
so does my brother.
clearly indicate that they would work differently on evil versus good creatures.
No, I don't think anybody else does either.
Well, I mean, that comes to the good point too. I mean, ultimately your goal was to come here and put a stop to what these guys were doing, which is sort of Vuhl's goal as well.
I know,
But
so
you've
why-
got some really bad suspicions about what Vuhl may be. And now that you've met these guys and Tijann and all these guys, they may be irritating, but they're not evil. And I mean, are you guys going to slaughter all these guys? I mean,
We must not.
we're
Wait,
trying
do I
not
get a
to.
vote? on that? Is that,
I mean,
Are we,
my mind
are
is
we
that-
voting? Are is a gang of wolves voting on who have just stumbled on a village of sheep voting on what to have for lunch?
what's for dinner?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do I get to vote on that?
So if they're not gonna listen anyway, I'd like to dispel magic from one of the casters just to know if he's got some kind of illusion magic or something on him. But other than that, we just have to do the seance, just ask questions. And
Yeah, I think we need to avoid that because their assumption, it's basically their court.
Well,
Yeah.
basically, he's saying,
And-
look, we'll
and
get there,
their-
and you
their
guys.
Their assumption in their court is that everybody tells the truth.
Yeah.
So if we're assuming that this Vuhl character is not the same or is the same, but has been somehow changed to evil, he's going to lie. Now, they're not going to believe that anybody would lie because that's unheard of in their culture. In this court situation, nobody lies. That's unheard of. They wouldn't even begin to accept it. So to do that doesn't benefit us at all, because if he then does lie, they're going to believe it, and it just reinforces what they already believe about him. And I'm not all that certain about going with this fire dryad, because we don't know if the orders she gave them that they never questioned are legitimate, or if it was for her benefit, his benefit, whichever it is. Her. So
I wouldn't mind talking to the water chick too.
yeah, that would be my thing. Because if they're no longer friends, there's a reason.
So why don't we ask if they're okay with us talking to the water chick first, and then if we don't get anything, or if we have new information, then we'll come back and do the court thing.
Yeah, I still think the court thing is entirely the wrong direction, no matter what. Just saying.
The impression you get from Papuvin, though, about this court thing is that that's basically how they solve the big questions here, and that they've had this bifurcation in the general sort of ethos of the place. Like before, about 6 weeks ago, basically everybody was, look, we have to sing this song 24 hours a day. It kind of sucks. There's not a lot of us here, and it keeps us from ever leaving, for any real stretch of time. But Tamber has told us that this is important to do, and it is our obligation to her and to ourselves and to the rest of the people of the fire forest to do this thing.
Right.
And 6 weeks ago, Vuhl's like, this is bullshit. Why can't and he, without actually going and saying Tamber lied to us about this, he's saying, well, basically two things. He's basically saying, look, I don't necessarily believe what Tamber told us is the case. And he's not saying it in so many words, but that's what he's insinuating. Is like, hey, we may have been misled here. But also, even if we haven't been misled, can we seriously continue to live this way, being bound to this enormous job that only we can do and only we are responsible for, with no help, no respite, no freedom. Fays are big into freedom. When you said chaotic earlier, they are chaotic. They're all chaotic, and they love freedom and they love individuality and that kind of stuff. And this has basically stopped them from that.
Isn't that the perfect argument? If you want to get a bunch of fays to change their mind, is to go in and act like you care about them and talk about how they're losing their freedom. And it's well orchestrated. It's beautiful.
Well, and from their point of view, Vuhl is a member of their tribe and has been all their lives. He does care about them. His care for them has been demonstrated dozens, if not hundreds of times over the course of their lifetimes. They have no reason to question it.
And they don't seem to have a reason to question anything. Like I said, chaotic morons.
Well, it's kind of like saying, hey, it's kind of like a bunch of people coming to your house and saying, hey, we ran into your brother and we're pretty sure we saw tentacles coming out of his neck. So we're sort of the opinion that he's evil, and he may have been acting weird lately, but we think
I
they have
wouldn't
been
go look at my brother's neck. If I really loved my brother, I would go and go look at my brother's neck.
Yeah, is this my brother who suddenly 6 weeks ago started acting diametrically opposed to their normal behavior? That might be worth looking into, but they're not going to. So the court assurance or whatever it is, they assume everybody's going to tell the truth. Obviously, if there's someone who's infiltrated this, who's evil for whatever reason, or has changed for whatever reason, they're not going to tell the truth. But the fact that they'll stand there and confidently lie is only going to go against us, because then the chaotic idiots will believe it even more.
Well, so what Papuvin is saying is like, look, Papuvin is basically saying, look, I think that you guys coming here is a sign. We have been unable to sort out this question. And we've, people drift back and forth. There's factions, there's divisiveness, and now it looks like that maybe or maybe not. Some of us have physically attacked other ones or meant to, and there was a whole sort of ordeal. We have found ourselves, what Papuvin is saying is, we found ourselves unable to resolve this. But you guys arriving at this time and at this juncture and under these circumstances is a sign from us, maybe a sign from Anyariel herself, who is telling us, these people, I have brought you these people to help you resolve this problem. So what he's proposing is, let's do the assayance. Our traditions, all of us will follow our traditions, but you ask the questions and you make the final adjudication.
Yeah, we make the decision.
You guys make the decision of
Do
what
any of
we
us
should
have-
do.
Do any of us have the ability to detect lies, or does anybody have, no, zone of truth is too high level, isn't it?
I don't know what level
Mhm.
zone of truth is.
I don't think we have
Higher
a
than we
paladin. Yeah, I don't,
If you
I don't
guys
think,
can't, if you guys can't cast the spell magic, Zone of Truth, I think, is the same level spell.
is it?
Zone of
Okay.
Truth is a second level spell.
Well, we do have a scroll.
We don't?
Yeah. Hey, you guys, I have to bug out. I'm sorry. I'm in the weeds at work. And I
Okay.
think you
All
guys.
right, Jen,
You gotta go? Okay.
Yeah.
Have a
I
good
won't be
one.
hurting Anybody. Thank you.
hopefully
Okay.
you get your stuff done.
Take
Good
care.
to see ya.
Good night.
Good luck.
Talk soon.
Bye.
Bye.
So if we have the ability to.
All right.
cast
Now
Zone
that
of Truth-
Vondrum's gone, so you guys are gonna kill Vondrum, right?
Obviously.
So if we have the ability, if any of our spellcasters have the ability to rest for a night and memorize Zone of Truth or pray
Maybe
for
it would
Zone
be
of Truth.
both then.
It's a cleric oracle spell, a paladin spell, anything
He's
in
got
there?
access to everything. I'm sure he doesn't have it for today, but he could have it for tomorrow.
But what I'm saying is Zone of Truth is one of those things where you cast the spell and the person cannot lie.
If they don't meet, if they beat the will save,
Right, if
they
they
can
fail,
lie.
I mean, again, it's risky. Because if they make the save and the spell fails, then they can lie normally. And these Fey people are gonna believe whatever comes out of the mouth of the person that they believe is the person they've known all their lives.
Well, right. If you guys cast a Zone of Truth and then somebody makes their will save, I mean, I guess
They're gonna
maybe.
say it's- yeah, fact.
It's a double-edged sword. I
Mhm.
mean,
Yeah. But again, like I said, it doesn't matter what we're able to do. Because these people are going to be willfully convinced that their person is good and that their person is telling the truth because that's what they want to believe. So to try and convince them that it's not the same person that they've always known, I mean, that's kind of an impossible task unless their magic allows them to do it, because then they would trust themselves, basically. And all they can do is detect good. They can't detect evil. They can't detect lies. And they can shoot a bunch of arrows and then lie about why they shot a bunch of arrows.
Well, I've lied about why I shot an arrow. I mean, that's you don't have to be Fey to lie about stuff.
Well, maybe we should just make them stop singing and leave.
Well, that was plan A, wasn't it? Before you ran
Yeah.
across Tijann, was to come to this village and essentially do whatever you had to do to stop them from what they're singing. Their point of view that you've learned since then is that they do this because they've been told to, and it keeps the creature of the fire forest from going berserk. But you guys
Yeah,
have talked to
they're
the creature of
giving
the
me a
fire
headache.
for, yeah. I mean, it's hard to know what the right course of action is.
It's expedience for getting our stuff done and leaving this pesky place.
This godforsaken place. So Papuvin will say to you guys, all right, I can see that you're divided on this. You need some time to think. You need some time to rest. I've set aside, I've had some people set aside some space for you.
That's right.
And
That's
food,
exactly what he would do.
and food brought, rest, consider the options, consider your next move, understanding that it is my intention as the elder of this village that you be the arbiters of the assayance. Is that, but why don't I give you some time to think about it? And in the meantime, you will be guests here. You will come to no harm. And we have plenty of food. You'll be safe. Does that sound satisfactory?
Lovely.
So he does that. Did Gordon jump off too? Or is he still here?
I'm here. I'm just eating a bowl of cereal. I'm here.
Okay. Did you turn your video off?
Yep.
Okay, that's why. That's when you turn video off, you disappear as a window on my thing. There's not the black window. It's okay. No, it's fine. You can turn it off if you want to eat some cereal. But I couldn't see it, so I wondered if since Jennifer popped off, I thought you might have as well. All right. So basically, Papuvin has a couple of his sprites take you to one of these caves. This one over here, if you could see that. Can you see that? No, am I clicking the wrong thing? This one right here.
Where?
It's not doing it. Why is it not going? Right there. Can you see that now?
Right there.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Oh, yeah.
So he takes you in there, and
Come on over.
they bring food and water and stuff to you guys. And you guys go in there. It's actually quite comfortable. These little holes in the thing. They have little beds. Obviously, the beds themselves are for much smaller creatures, largely. But they're comfortable enough, and you can sort of use them as chairs and stuff like that. You can lean back. There's a small brazier with coals that are doesn't make it too hot in here and that kind of stuff. Food is brought, and that you're allowed to, mostly vegetables. They're phase, and a little bit of bird, that you can grill and eat and stuff like that. It's very comfortable. And I'm assuming that you guys continue amongst yourselves the conversation about what to do next. About an hour later, there's a creature, one of the fake creatures that you've seen around, comes to the doorway, and he says, "Excuse me, outsiders. I have a question or a request for you. If you have a moment."
Sure.
My friend Vuhl was hoping that he might have a few minutes of your time to speak with you, talk with you just a little bit, and perhaps explain some of his actions and his point of view. Since the seance is coming, probably in the morning, he wanted to help you understand the point of view that he's coming from. Would that be satisfactory? May he visit with you?
Yeah. I would like to talk to him.
Stealth.
Let me put on something decent first.
Yes.
Hold on, my kimono is open.
Yeah. Excuse me while I get these hair scissors out of here.
All right, so Wraith, you're hiding essentially, correct? Am I reading that right? All right.
Yeah, I'm going stealth.
All right, and Ono, you are cracking your knuckles and preparing to do some punching. All right, the rest of you,
It's clobbering time.
So
I'm ready to clip some wings.
Yeah. I just want to ask some questions. So
the guy steps to the side, and you see Vuhl, sort of he's the owl. It's very striking. You see him, and he seems kind of contrite. He says, his head is looking down, and he comes to the door, and he says, My friend has told me that you are willing to see me, and for that I appreciate that. May I enter?
yes, and then you can tell us what changed your mind a few weeks ago.
It is a long story, and I hope you have the patience for it, if that is indeed what you wish to ask me.
Well, that's the first question. I've got lots of questions for you. If you would rather not be, what's the least likely place you'd like to be shot? I want to know that.
It was wrong of me. Before I say anything else, let me apologize. It was wrong of me to ask my co-villagers, my friends, and my family to attack you. I was surprised by your appearance when I had simply gone to go and talk to Tijann. I was surprised and dismayed, and I thought that you were perhaps the violent hobbits of the south come this far north for a raid, and so many of the elvish villages that have been nearby have succumbed to the fire forest, and I must confess that fear overtook me at that point, and I made a mistake, and for that I am truly sorry. It is my hope that any wounds that my fellow villagers and fae have inflicted on you are well healed, and if not, I can arrange for medicine and unguents to be brought here to ease any pain that you might have. But in the first place, I want to extend to you my most sincere apologies. about the misunderstanding that took place at the bridge. I do hope that you will accept them. Well, he's an owl, so they're kind of hard to sort of determine whether or not he's telling the truth.
Oh, that's
So
huge on up and up.
he's sort of an owl man. So he does, I mean, he does seem contrite. He's apologizing. You know, he seems for real. I mean, he seems like he genuinely is apologetic and regrets what happened. Poe, you're a little bit more suspicious, but there's nothing in his words that seems to indicate that he's anything but completely genuine about this.
Ono rolled a 25 perception.
For perception, yeah. So I mean, you see them, and he gives off all the body language of you know, considering he's an owl man. That you know,
Feed
he's
my beak.
yeah. he you know, he's down. His eyes are downcast. He seems sincere.
Okay. I'm gonna gamble, and you know, the worst that can happen, I cause offense, and you know.
Worst that can happen, I cause an international incident. Go for it. I like the way you think, buddy.
I say, Vuhl, I demand you show us your true form.
He looks at you and sort of shakes his owly head a little bit, and he says, "Look, I know not of what you speak, this true form thing, or the tentacles that you claim you see down the back of my neck." And he sort of turns. He says, if it will assuage your suspicions. He turns and pulls back sort of the cowl that he's wearing now. He's wearing like an actual robe with a hood now, which he wasn't wearing before. So he pulls that down and sort of pushes around his shoulders, and he takes one of his wings and sort of brushes the things, you know, sort of shows you. And he says, "Look, you see no tentacles. I can only assume that this was just a shadow or an errant will-o'-the-wisp that you have seen, something that made you think that I was anything but what I am. I am Vuhl, and Vuhl is I. I hope."
Any of our casters detect magic while I was doing this?
I don't know. All right,
Yes,
so
I detect magic.
all right, so you're doing detect magic. All right, so detect magic, if you can keep it going for like 18 seconds, which I'm assuming, Titus, you position yourself in the back of the room, so you're just like, and then just watch, you know, kind of thing. So and so only you would see this. You do see Poe can detect magic too. Okay, so you're going to do that as well. So you're both trying to be surreptitious about this. Okay. So so you both kind of fire this up, and the first thing that you notice is, at first, in the first few seconds of detect magic, you see I love this, Eric. So Eric, Ono was on the monastery debate team. They call it a forensics team, so it was very confusing. But yes, he understands. He can't be fooled. He can't be caught in any mazes of circular logic. So he shouldn't even try. But so for the detect magic, so at first you see nothing, and then you're like, "What is that?" And you see, sort of buried deep within Vuhl, it's almost like a small black aura. It's almost undetectable. And Vuhl is continuing to talk and explain, you know, this and that, and you know, it's mostly, you know, apologies and that kind of stuff. And as you continue to keep things going further and further, you can see that this small black crystal of magic inside him, deep inside him, has little tendrils kind of going outward. At first they seem to be few, and then you can see they sort of like materialize more and more until they're these tiniest sort of capillaries that go everywhere within him. And in the third round, you get the school of magic, which is necromancy. In the meantime, Vuhl is talking to you, Sir Ono, if I may call you that.
All right.
I understand. He says, let me explain to you my position in hopes that when we do conduct the assayance, that you will understand the words that I say there and the point of view that I get across. Let me give you the context. And he says, it is my hope, considering what I've heard you talking about with Papuvin and those guys, that you actually hold my position. You and I are actually in far more agreement than what we might initially think from our contentious immediate relationship, for which I am very much apologetic, and I admit complete fault in that. I know that you understand freedom, and that the bindings that we have had placed on us are anathema to all Fae, the nature of Fae. We have submitted to the will of Tamber for too long, and that to really demonstrate to my co-villagers that we reject everything that she has told us that we must do, I feel there is only one real solution. And I will admit that it is a shocking solution, but I must be honest with you with my plans. It is my plan. It is my duty to my village and to my family to kill Tamber. That is my intention. And I know that sounds shocking, but I feel it is the only way. It is the only way to free my village, to demonstrate to them that what Tamber has done to us, what binds we have suffered under, what cruel slavery we have succumbed to under her orders, was wrong and unfair and just generally crappy.
So question was that, did I detect that he's being animated by necromancy, or that he is a necromancer?
Yeah, it's like nothing you have ever seen before. It is this thing within him that is small, but it has all these tendrils that seem to go everywhere, and the magic in it is necromancy. He doesn't strike you as a necromancer. You don't get any vibe off him that he's a spellcaster. Well, to a certain extent, I guess, yeah. I mean, but he hasn't, just by virtue of being a fae, but he hasn't cast any spells at you that you can think of.
Knowledge arcana help me decipher this?
It's possible. Yeah, go ahead and roll that. He says, look, he goes, let me further tell you. Right. Okay. Yeah, he did say duty. So he says, look, this is an enormous confession I've made to you. And I want to give you the benefit of at least understanding some of my suspicion. My suspicion is that Tamber came here 2 years ago and did something so completely unfae-like that my suspicion is that she may be enslaved by the creature. And my suspicion is that if we were to stop the song, that not only would this not result in the deaths of all my countrymen, all my family, but it would free us and free the creature for it to go back to whatever land it came from before it came to here, and would improve the lot of all those who live in the fire forest immensely. That is my suspicion. My suspicion is that Tamber is potentially in league with the creature, or has been controlled by it. And therefore, I have come to the conclusion that my only true path to save my fellow villagers, to save this village, is to destroy Tamber. My problem is I don't know where she is. I don't know how to find her, and I dare not approach Guinevera. I know a little bit more about their relationship, and Guinevera and Tamber are not friends any longer. There was a falling out, and this was around the time that Anyariel departed us. I don't know the reasons why, but I know that whatever the reason, it caused a rift between the two dryads, the two creatures of the Fae. And it could be that that rift was so debilitating, potentially to both of them, that it caused Tamber to be vulnerable to the machinations of whatever creature this is.
So if she was in league with the creature, why would she be telling you guys to keep it held? If she's being controlled by the creature, wouldn't he just say, let me go? And then she would tell you guys to let it go?
Perhaps it is the song that allows that creature to stay here in our dimension. Perhaps it is that which allows that creature to continue to run amok amongst our forest. I don't know. I confess the magic of it, the arcane nature of it is beyond me. I am a simple owl man from a Fey village full of not very smart people, as you have seen. I don't know, but I can't help but feel in my bones that we are aligned here, despite our differences and despite my terrible mistakes that I made at the bridge. Help me, or at least understand where I'm coming from, so that when we go to the assayance tomorrow, or whenever you have sufficiently rested, you will not find my pronouncements shocking, for I must tell the truth of my suspicions and of my motives and what I plan to do. I must tell it. It is the tradition of the assayance. The truth will come out.
Well, while he's been speechifying, I did a 13 knowledge check, planes, and a 15 sense motive.
The knowledge planes, you don't know what this thing inside him is, if it's anything. I mean, it's at first, once detect magic sort of winks out, you're just like, did I see what I saw? You have never seen anything like that before. Under detect magic.
The knowledge arcana?
Knowledge arcana now with 13, it's just, yeah, it's something. I mean, you don't question your eyes. You detected something within him, but it's like nothing you've ever seen before. Magical. You have no, honestly, you don't have anything. Your education did not seem to bring to you any sort of idea of what sort of thing this necromantic crystal or pod or seed might be.
I should have stayed awake in school.
That's true. Much truer now than ever before. Your sense motive, it's hard to tell. He's an owl guy, but your guess is that, I don't know, maybe he's sincere. It would be very difficult to tell. He sounds sincere, but at the same time, he's saying some pretty outlandish things. He's talking about, I mean, you heard what Tijann said about Tamber, that she is sort of the lady of the glade. All respect her, all follow her orders. She would never lead us astray. I mean, that's Tiljann's position. She's like, we do this because she told us, and because we do not question that. And he's saying, not only am I questioning it, but I plan to go and kill her and bring her body back here and show everybody that that she has done us wrong, because she has done us such an evil disservice by putting us into this position where we were bound to do this thing, and we can't, and we have no choice.
Killing her will certainly prove that position.
Sure it will. If he kills her, then her orders they're not valid anymore.
Right. But it doesn't prove anything other than she's dead and you don't have to listen to her anymore.
It proves that the tradition of following the word of Tamber, regardless of question, without question and without context, would have been wrong. If I am successful in killing her, it proves that she had no right or what's the word I'm looking for? Investiture to order us in the fashion that she has. She didn't have the right. If I can defeat her in battle, it means that the gods favor my position, and that she had no right to do to us, to this village, what she has done. It is essentially, he's relying on the idea of trial by combat. If I kill her, then it demonstrates to all of us that she was wrong.
Sorry, this past weekend I watched The Last Duel.
How was it?
Isn't that
I've heard
a
good
movie?
I've heard good things about that.
That is a fabulous movie. I really enjoyed watching it.
It is a very good movie.
Very good
But
movie.
if you read into it, it's the same stupid shit this clown's talking about.
That's exactly right. Yes, it is.
And the fact that they completely ignored the woman because she was property.
Yep.
But in the end, I won't say what happened in the end.
Yeah,
And the
let it
movie's
go,
called-
because it
the mo-
is
yeah,
a good,
The
it's a
movie's
good
called
movie.
The Last Duel.
Yeah, The Last
And
Duel.
it is based on a true story of the last legal duel in France in 1380 something.
Something
Oh, shit.
85, I thought.
Duel,
Where's
not ghoul, duel. As
duel
in
like
fight to
DUEL?
the death, fight to the death.
Yeah.
God will decide which one was honest and which one was not.
Yeah.
Based on
Mhm.
who lives or dies. It's a great movie. Check it out.
Yeah.
Where's it streaming?
Oh,
Where did you watch it on?
I
don't
think
know. I've
we
got so
rented it
many-
on Prime.
I've got so many streaming things. I don't know which
Okay.
one I watched it on.
It's
It
Prime
might have
rentable.
been.
Okay.
It might have been HBO Go,
Okay.
but it is a good movie. Matt Damon, Adam Driver, Ben Affleck.
Yeah, a lot of
Wow.
good stars in it.
Yeah,
Wow,
a lot-
okay.
A lot of big people in it. It is a really, really good movie.
Okay.
But I was laughing because it's ridiculous in their thought process, exactly the way this guy is ridiculous in
Yeah.
his thought process.
I don't know. I find it pretty compelling.
I'm sure.
It's a solid argument if you ask me.
I'm waiting for my twin to swing at this guy so I can shoot him in the back with like 12d6 plus damage. Not really.
You're guests in this village. I mean, I don't know. You go about. I mean, he seems completely contrite. He's trying to explain to you. He's like, look, when we go to the assailants, I'm going to say these things, and I want you to understand the reasons why, so that you don't find it shocking.
But he doesn't know I'm behind him. That's all I care about.
Well, he's not talking to you specifically, but
Yeah.
just in general, you guys. And he's like, where's the other one, the little mean one?
You should be concerned about him.
Pay no attention
Yeah. We
to the guy with the bow and arrow in the corner.
These are not the droids you're looking for.
do any of the casters who did detect magic let me or at least the rest of us know what they found?
Well, it'd be hard to. I mean, he's standing right there. I mean, unless you want to admit that you cast spells on him.
Arendar's not really a subtle type.
Well, I can use bluff to convey a secret message to Arendar.
Sure. What do you say? The fat man walks at midnight.
Yeah, exactly those words, but maybe with a little more flourish at the end.
The rain in Spain falls mainly on the
The
plain.
plane, yeah.
No,
By Jove, she's got it.
I mean, I guess you could come over and like whisper it, but
Yeah.
you know, owls have pretty good hearing though.
Well,
like I said, at this point, Arendar doesn't care.
well, but it's a secret.
Well, he's
message that
tried.
no one else can
Like,
do.
look, even the owl, even Vuhl will be like, look, I understand, and I understand that you have no reason.
Don't trust you.
Yeah, well,
Arendar would say that point.
he's like, I get that. He goes, you guys don't know me. You have no reason to trust me. But think think less about what I want, and think about what's right for the people of these village. Is it right for them to continue to suffer under this bondage, under this slavery? No. I think you think the same way as the answer to that is no. Is it right for us to be tricked into this into this horrible situation by some creature of the forest who may have motives that we don't know? No, it's not right. Do not the people of the Fire Forest, like any other peoples, like your own people from Gate Pass, deserve freedom and the right to determine their own futures and courses of action? Yes. I think we are all in agreement there. And while you may not trust me, think to the greater principles. And I think that you'll find that we have common ground.
Yes, but you don't know with 100% of surety that your route does all those things. Your route could end every life in the Fire Forest. You don't know that it can't.
I must acknowledge that is possible. I must acknowledge that what Tamber has told us might be true.
Right.
But even if it is, even if stopping the song results in the destruction of all of us, is that not a better outcome than continued slavery to a task that never ends and may be a great lie? Must we not look to the greater truths? Isn't it not better to die free than to live as slaves?
You know what? You might think that. Everyone here might not think that. So I think
You've met the members of my village. Most of them have the intellectual and logical capabilities of children, and it is just the nature of what they are. But we understand greater.
Children.
We understand the greater issues here. We understand that the lack of intellect and the lack of truly understanding the precarious nature of the existence that they found themselves in is not necessarily ignorance. In this case, does not necessarily equal bliss. Is it not our obligation to free them as well as ourselves?
Once I'm certain of something, then yes. But
Or
until
we
I'm
could
certain
just
of
kill him
something-
now and let him die free as he wishes.
Oh, I'd love to, but I'm not attacking anyone first.
He bows his head and he says, look, I've taken up a great deal of your time. I apologize if I've interrupted your rest. But I felt compelled to come here and explain myself to you and to proffer my apologies for my previous actions, for which, as I have said before, I am truly sorry. I will leave you to your rest. I will see you in the morning after you've had a chance to think about what we've talked about. And he sort of departs and goes back out into the village.
So now I guess the casters can tell us what happened or what they found.
Sure. Yeah. What'd you guys find?
If they do it quickly, Erndar will go out the door and call him back over. Actually, hang on, one more thing.
So you're going to call him over?
Yeah. If the casters immediately say, hey, we saw something.
Yeah, I mean, what would you tell these guys? Keep in mind that they're not arcane casters. They don't understand the nuances associated with magic.
Yeah, we don't know what it is.
I'm not telling these guys anything. No, I
Well,
would call
so
him
do we
back over.
believe that he's going to be compelled to tell the truth tomorrow? Because we can just ask him.
He admitted that he said that he was going, he said that the reason that he came and told you all this stuff now is that he was absolutely going to tell the truth tomorrow, and all this was going to come out in the assayance, and that he wanted it to not be the first time that you heard it, so that you weren't shocked by his sort of, his responses to your questions. He says, look, this is going to come out. I need to tell you now so you understand my reasoning. He's like saying, hey, you may vote against me. You may decide that the best course of action is to continue the song, despite all of, all the promises that you've made to various other creatures that you've met in the Fire Force. He doesn't say that. I say that. I don't think he knows that you've made any deals with, he knows that you've talked with something that you have described as a creature of the Fire Force, but frankly, he probably doesn't believe you. But he was like, look, I'm going to say this tomorrow, and I want you guys to understand the context of it so that you're informed of the nuance behind my arguments at the assayance. So it's not new material to you.
And just to be clear, he did not once say that he was going to tell the truth. He said that was what he was going to say.
Gotcha.
He never asserted that it was the truth. He asserted that it was what he was going to speak.
I thought he had said at some point that he
True.
would be.
That could be. I don't remember if that's exactly what I said. But
He
yeah.
actually did say, I'm going to tell the truth tomorrow, and this is what I'm going to say. But I don't think that makes it truth. Especially, I think Erndar probably would have been a little more comfortable with the conversation until after he left, and the casters were like, yeah, there's some kind of necromancy going on inside him.
Well, it's nothing you've ever seen before.
Yeah, he doesn't understand spells, so that's kind of above his pay grade, but
Way above.
he knows that's not a good thing, and it's definitely adds to some of the deception that's probably going on. I think we should talk to the water chick before we do this boat thing.
Well, you could. The way he talked is like they were going to have it like tomorrow morning sometime. I suppose there's time this afternoon. It's probably like early to mid afternoon. It's been several hours since you left the Elvish village, but you still haven't gotten a chance to sort of have a long rest. You could maybe make the case to Papuvin
We'll request a continuance.
requested on. No, you could if you go out and find Papuvin and he's just wandering around and that kind of stuff, doing villagey shit. And
that's what I do. Villagey shit.
I just I've got a full day of villagey shit going on today. I've got no time. But if you want to tell him that you want to postpone something until such time as you come back from wherever you're coming back.
I'd like to talk to the watery chick, and then also right now I'm leaning more towards until we're confident of what's going on. I'm kind of leaning towards maybe we tell them to keep singing until
Well, they're not.
we know that that's not the right answer.
They're not gonna. They're gonna. So basically, what he's told you is they're gonna keep singing until a couple of things happen. One, the seance is complete, and you guys have made a decision and the decision being whether to keep singing or not keep singing. Once that decision is made, that decision has to be brought to Timbre so that she understands the decision has been made and that they're going to stop. Once that's complete, then they will stop singing and see what happens.
Okay.
If that's the direction we go.
If that's the direction you go. Yeah. It could be that after the seance, you say, no, it is our decision that you should continue to sing, continue to do your job. Timbre was right. Vuhl was wrong. We're going back on all the deals that we've made with the people that we met in the fire forest, and that's that. And then they will say, salute, everything's right.
Praise BB team.
Honestly,
be.
that kind of sounds like us, really.
And it could be. I mean, I'm not going to say that you could limit yourself. I mean, you can go back on your deal with Indomitable. You can go back on your deal with Kazakh. I know you guys are aching to go back on your deal with Kazakh. It could be that after hearing both arguments, and it's not really arguments, they don't do things. Basically, the way seances work is the judges, which is you guys in this case, can ask any question to either side, and basically you go on either side of the thing, and they tell you, they make their case. It's not like a modern court of law where evidence is provided and statements are made. Basically, you ask the questions and they answer them, and their traditions basically say that only truth may be told in any seance.
Yeah.
So you're, I mean, as far as everybody else is concerned, they don't believe that Vuhl would lie. It would be inconceivable to them. Inconceivable. Never fight an owl guy when death is on the line.
Especially one that's got a black necromantic jewel in his gut.
Well, it's not so much a jewel. It was more about like a I said crystal, but it was more like shape and size rather than actual crystal.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Wraith's not that gifted. He just wants to cut it out and see what it is.
Well, it might not be something that you can cut out. Remember, detect magic is an aura detection device.
I can cut it out. Trust me when I tell you that. There might not be much left, but I can gut that thing.
Kill him, it might come out on its own and jump into you.
That would be interesting.
Yeah. it would.
Briefly. Well, so I mean, do you guys go to Papuvin and basically say, we want to hold the seance tomorrow at noon, and that will give you time to have a long rest, and then first thing in the morning sort of go downriver? I mean, are you going to tell him that you're going to go see Guinevera first?
Why not?
You guys don't know necessarily where she lives, though.
Someone here does.
Yeah.
Tijann does.
Yeah.
Tijann said she knew where she was. so
Absolutely.
we should be able to get her to direct us to that fairly easily.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I have no reason. I don't see any reason to hide it from Doug. I can't think of
Go for it.
whatever his name is.
Papuvin.
Papuvin is basically of the opinion that you guys have been sent here by some greater power. So to determine their course of action for this village of Fae. So he's basically like, you want to go see Guinevera tomorrow morning, or you want to postpone the seance until after you have a chance to speak with her? Fine.
Yeah, we were sent here by a higher power. The thing you guys are supposedly keeping tabs on, that's the one that sent us here. And he wants out.
Well,
unless
maybe
unless he's lying.
Unless he's lying, unless he's deceiving you as well.
We're just trying to figure out. Yeah.
So we're gonna go see the water nymph.
After you rest for the night,
Okay.
so you get your spells back and all that stuff.
I've got all my spells back. Arrow to the face.
Hey, Gordon, can
times
you get
infinity.
Detect Evil and Zone of Truth for tomorrow? Or do you have enough to get both of those?
Yeah, I was gonna get Detect Undead too,
Okay.
but yeah, I can do Zone of Truth as well. I'm gonna heal everybody up too before I rest, unless I've got enough stuff left to. I think Ono is the only one that's down, and me.
Okay,
Well,
get everybody healed up. So they will bring more food to you as the sun approaches sunset. They
Too bad they're all
will.
in tiny portions.
Well, no, they get that you guys are big people, so this is like that kind of stuff. And actually, Tijann comes around to see how you're doing. She's like, I saw that that Vuhl came over. I'm surprised. She goes, I was surprised. She goes, I've spoken with him, and while we still disagree, I do think that this may have been some sort of mistake. I don't think he was trying to kill me. But he goes, I appreciate that you were trying to save me, and we will forever be friends in that regard. But I think Vuhl was just simply overexcited, and
Yeah,
he
I
made
feel
some
excited
mistakes.
sometimes too. And I pull my falcata out and swing it through the air.
So do you sort of like, I'm assuming that you ask her
yeah, where to find the water nymph?
yeah, where to find the water
Yeah, you
nymph.
can take it to the water
Guinevera.
Guinevera, yeah.
Tomorrow morning, first thing.
So she'll tell you, she's like, at first she starts telling you the directions and all this stuff, and she's like, it would just be easier for me to take you there.
Yeah.
I'll go with you.
Okay.
Does that sound okay?
Mhm.
Well, yeah, she said she was afraid of her. So
Well, yeah, she's afraid of her, but she's like, but she seems to be of the mind that, frankly, you guys getting down there without her help is going to be fraught with hazard.
yeah,
That's not going to
So-
happen.
yeah, we're happy to have her lead us there. And if she wants to bail when the nymph comes out because she's scared of her, that's all good too. But at least we'll get there safely.
Okay, yeah, she'll take it. She's like, oh, I can lead you there, but I don't want to do anything to aggravate Guinevera. She'll eat me.
We were going to offer you up as tribute.
Say what, motherfucker?
Oh no, she wouldn't be that quick. She's like, no, there must be some misunderstanding. Yeah, there's a misunderstanding.
Forgive me on the way
Heifer, come on.
She'll be talking misunderstanding until Vuhl puts his talons through her throat, probably. No, he would never do that. He's a friend and family member. I mean, it's crazy. You wouldn't think that.
Mhm.
All right. So you guys get a good night's sleep. Is there anything else you want to do that evening before you depart the Fey Village with Tijann to go see if you can find Guinevera?
Wait, does stealthily murder the owl guy? Does that fall into that category or no?
Well, you can go out and kind of like get some. You could go out and get some air and stuff like that and check it out. He's got a lot of people around him, so even if you're stealthing pretty hard, he's you could tell that one of those caves down at the southern end of the hill there is his, but there's a lot of people, and you're guessing it's his because there's a lot of people milling around it, and he's got a lot of friends here. I'm not saying they're guards per se, because that's sort of like would be
What the guilty people do? Yeah, I get that. It's
yeah,
okay.
they're not guards. I mean,
They're
because
just guards. It's okay. I'm gonna get a good night's sleep and then we're gonna go down and talk to the water chick.
And then we'll murder him.
Maybe.
first the water chick, then the murder, then we hang him, and then we kill him.
And then we should.
Just don't shoot him. It only makes him mad. Sorry, we needed a Mungo reference after.
So
the email
while-
that Gordon
while you
sent
guys
out
do that,
earlier.
You guys get a chance to talk to Tijann, and Tijann, as she's sort of making excuses for Vuhl, and she goes, I'm not entirely in disagreement with what Vuhl wants to do. I don't like being trapped here, by Tamber's thing. I find it to be I find myself restless. I would like to be free as well. I am sympathetic to that. She she says, look, we're bound to the forest itself, and Timber's a dryad who lives in one of the oldest trees in the forest, and that, she's not, she just doesn't understand how it would work. And maybe even if the forest burned down, there might be some way. I mean, Timber is very powerful. Maybe she could save us. She just don't know, but she doesn't, she does think that, she doesn't necessarily 100% disagree with what Vuhl's trying to do. She wants to be free as well. The next morning, you wake up refreshed, as only people who have slept the night in a Fey village can sleep. A little itchy from all the beetles and weevils and stuff like that, but very bright and early, right at dawn. Some Fey bring a enormous breakfast of eggs and onions and potatoes dug fresh from the earth, and things like that, and it's delicious. And you have some of this very young green wine that they make from honeysuckle leaves and some other Fey horseshit that they put together to put this thing together. Not too long after that, Tijann shows up and says, I've arranged for boats to take us across the lake. That is the direction in which Guinevera lives.
Away we go.
Where you go. All right, so you guys go by the lake, and the lake is, you take off, and the lake, you can tell, you sloop a little hand in the water, and the water's hot. Not boiling, but you can tell that it would be uncomfortable to be in for a long period of time. But that just seems to be the nature of the fire forest around here. You guys, these boats are made out of enormous leaves sort of sewn together, and they're not great for creatures of your size, and they ship a little. So, there's a little water in the boat with you, but you get across there over time. You get to a point where the water becomes shallow. It's only about a foot deep, certainly not deep enough for the boats. And Tijann says, we're close. She says she's right through there, and you can see you've basically crossed the lake. And on the other side of the lake, there's this little inlet in which you can see what looks to be, there's a little island sort of in a channel that goes deeper into the fire forest. So there's a little channel that branches off the lake that goes into the fire forest. And in the middle of that channel is an island. And so you can tell that Tijann has gotten sort of kind of nervous. She goes, that is where Guinevera lives, in there, over there. I cannot go any farther. I'm too afraid. But I will wait here with the boats so that I will see you back across the river once you've spoken with her. Ask her if she knows the location of Timber and what's going on. I'll see you.
Okay.
So you guys splash out of the boats in about a foot of water, this very shallow sort of area, and find yourselves on a different map.
Let's see.
So on the lake, there's this island that you can't really see much of. There's a couple of trees on it, but it looks pretty rocky. Those same sort of fiery trees that are everywhere. Around the outcroppings over here, there are little plants that seem to float in the water, and they are on fire, and they give off light. And they're over here as well. You can see a couple of things. I mentioned the island. Over here, you can see just above the water and sinking down below it as well. It looks to be some sort of cave opening that goes into the side.
Where's the cave opening?
Right here.
Okay.
I see. Okay.
You guys splash through here, and you can see these things. You do not see any creatures about.
We want to call to her, just so she doesn't
Sure.
think we're trying to sneak up on her or trying to.
I mean, we're not evil. We're seeking a parlay. We might as well announce ourselves because good guys knock, right?
Sure.
Guys knock. I think we got our first tweet of the night there. But yeah, so I mean, so what do? You just yell out, "Hey, Guinevere, come on out, company!"
Yeah. Hope you're decent. Here we come.
Pants on. All right, there's no response. So you guys yell out, "Guinevera, Guinevere, we are from the seela village. We've come to talk with you." Nothing. No response.
So the middle island, can we not see that just because there's like a
I had to put some
Sure.
yeah, I had to put things away because there's stuff on it. You can't see. These maps are really kind of borky. But yeah, I mean, you could see it. It looks like a little rocky outcropping island. There's a couple of trees on it. Those fire forests, those standard fire forest trees that sort of have like flames coming off of them a little bit. But beyond that, there's not much there. I mean, you can pretty much see the whole thing. You don't see any dryads or nymphs or anything.
Okay, well, we don't see anything there, which is where I'd assume she was, then maybe this cave, is this cave got water going into it?
Yeah, there's a little bit of water going into it.
Is
I mean,
Tijann still there, or did I see her?
Yeah,
tilting?
she's by the boats, but she's further back.
Can we?
Les, I sent you a question.
The answer is yes.
Is she
Yes.
within earshot? Can we
Les does
ask?
like you.
Oh, yes.
Is Tijann within earshot or?
Yeah, can we? Go,
Yeah,
"Hey,
she's
where's-
she's maybe 50 yards away down the way, so you can hear her. She can hear you.
Hey, where is Guinevera?
And she's like, "That's her house."
Is she
Wait,
on the
where's
island
her
or
house?
is she in
That
the
cave?
She's like, "I don't know. I know that she lives here. I don't know which cave or what's going on." She's like, "I don't know," but she lives down in there.
What's
Let's
this
send
thing?
Lorelei around.
All right. So Lorelei gets a thing. Give me a perception check. You're gonna take advantage of my poor map skills. 28. Okay, well, I guess that's taking advantage of poor map skills. Yeah, so you don't really notice it until you fly over it, but there is another little, you can see underneath the water, which isn't very deep at this point. There's it undulates a little bit, but it's maybe 4 or 5 feet deep where she's hiding. There is a sort of, you could sort of see that the island is the culmination of a cone that's risen up underneath the water, and at the front part of that cone, right where Lorelei is sort of hovering above, you can see what looks to be a small, maybe 3-foot diameter hole under the water leading into the cone.
I just noticed that Lorelei actually has detect evil and detect good as a spell-like ability. Why is that?
That would have been helpful.
Yeah, it would have been.
It's going to make the Assayants a lot of fun.
Okay, well, Lorelei will fly back and report that.
Okay.
I guess while she's doing this, she's going to fly over to the cave entrance too and see if there's anything over there.
She doesn't see anything over there, but darkness on the inside. Now she does see that the cave does sort of slope upward about 8 feet inside the thing, so that while the door goes down into the water, and if there's the floor of it at the doorway is about a foot, maybe a foot and a half under the water, it slopes upward, and then it looks like there's dryness inside, like it's high enough to be dry in the rest of the area.
So if this is a water nymph, she probably won't be there. I'm guessing. This one probably looks more promising.
So are we just gonna boat over to the island? Are we on a boat at this point?
We're walking.
No, you guys are walking, and you guys are wading through the water. It's pretty shallow, between 1 and 2 feet deep. The boats
Yeah.
can't get through here.
Oh, okay.
But then you said once you get to this area, then it gets to about 4 feet deep. Is that right, Les?
Yeah, it's about 4 feet deep. The closer you get to the island, it has a little drop off there. It sort of sinks down. You can still ford it, but that like sort of nose cone angles up to the shore.
Mike, are you moving me instead of you?
Oh, yeah.
Knock that off.
I don't know where you were.
Thank you.
No, it's Aaron Dark. He's pushing Wraith. Come on.
Go, 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 go.
Okay, Doug sent you a message.
Doug, I did not send you a message. It's not that I didn't want to send you a message. Yeah, I'm gonna make my way up close to there.
Okay.
All right. Then we're gonna move. She's gonna come out in the water. Is that right?
It's up to you.
Let's go here.
I wouldn't go there.
Okay, so you guys see this creature come out of the water, and this is what it looks like.
Ah,
So very sort of like
Water nymphy.
water nymphy, yeah. She's looking, I'm assuming, so Doug, I'm assuming she sort of is like looking around at all these people.
That is exactly what she's doing, almost with disinterest and yet curiosity.
Okay.
If no one does it, then Arendar is going to kind of, as a question, call out her name.
Just like Guinevera? Is
Yeah.
that you? Doug?
Who asks?
Us. My name's Arendar.
Us.
The heavily armed party moving towards your island.
What have you brought me?
Tijann, but she bailed out back there. No, she didn't. We come seeking information. We are from the village. What do we ever under?
They only refer to it as the village or the Seela village. Seela is a Fey name for just like, it's like when people talk about when you, no matter what language you're in, everybody has a language that they refer to themselves as the people. Seela is Fey for the people. So sometimes they refer to it as the Seela village or the village.
Okay.
It doesn't necessarily have a name.
I'm going to say, yeah, we were previously guest of the Seela village, and we've talked with them, and we've come to seek your seek some knowledge from you.
What have you brought me?
Other than questions.
She rolls her eyes.
What do you seek?
Moves a little away.
We seek to save the forest, its denizens and citizens. We are told that you are knowledgeable and can help.
So you speak of things that I already know. What have you brought me?
What do you seek?
Well,
gift?
yeah. What?
A gift?
You want a gift?
okay.
Would you like a kiss from a monk?
No one can really turn down a monk kiss.
No, it's impossible.
Oh.
He can sing, but don't ask him to recite poetry.
Especially if you're half horse. That never goes well.
Yeah. We've heard rumors.
What sort of gift do you seek?
Yeah, Arendar is not exactly a ladies' man, and definitely not a water nymph ladies' man, so he has no idea what to get her.
Now, what do you mean?
Songs are fleeting.
Don't read that.
Did you send that to me?
Part of it has got to you, but there was a hard enter in there, so you got some of it, but you didn't get all of it. So Ono says, music is eternal. He sings from the heart, and his poetry is written with nothing more lecherous than perhaps an occasional
All right.
smoocheroo on your ursine behind.
I got
On my ursine bond.
So yeah, she's just standing there and she's
Yeah,
swimming. She's swimming in the. Oh, go ahead, Doug.
Well, I mean, she's literally like treading water as if it were just natural to her.
Right.
I mean, that she's just any kind of perception check, you'd see that this creature is just absolutely full of herself. Think of a cat on steroids, and
Oh, okay. We brought her a laser light. And we start flicking it around and
yeah. So for a song, I will answer a question.
okay, get to it, Ono.
all right.
All right, I'm gonna need a performance check from you, Ono. Performance song.
It's a long way to
Oh boy, we're in trouble.
Do you have that? Do you have that skill? Do you have performance skill?
I do.
All right, roll it.
Here it comes.
He missed a few notes.
A few notes. She rolls her eyes. One question.
So that was a karaoke of Journey done by extremely drunk man at 3 a.m. On a midnight train going
All right, I use bluff to
anywhere.
sing her a song.
It's the final countdown.
I bluff her into
just
thinking I'm
love
a
the song.
great singer.
So I'm assuming. Go ahead.
You sound of those insidious fae over fake singing their songs. What a drawer. I mean, what a dour tune they sing.
Well, if we get one question, I think our question should be, where is whatever that fire chick's name is?
Timbre?
Prometheus?
Amber. Yeah.
Prometheus is not a chick.
We don't know that.
Yes, we do.
Oh, you have firsthand knowledge?
Yeah, he's my buddy. We play
Yeah, I
cards on
got that,
Thursday.
yeah.
Play card.
Okay.
That would be
Bitch.
what?
Almost immediately after you say timbre, the name timbre, she yells out in an angry tone the curse word. She calls her a bitch.
Ooh,
Okay.
Them's fighting words.
So, do you know where she is?
Yeah. She is a subject that I shall not talk about. Another question.
Okay, if we're not going to talk about her, how about we talk about her home? Where's her home?
It is within her accursed flames.
Yeah, I'm all too familiar with those.
Do you know what's going on with Vuhl and Tijann?
That's too specific. I would say ask if she knows what's going on with the singing.
She effortlessly goes to here.
With the singing pixies and the fire creature that's being held. Ask if she
Okay.
knows what's going on there or any details about that.
Then I so ask.
One question for a gift.
I'll sing you another song.
Ugh. After mentioning that song, that the wretched singing, Sing not anymore.
Well, my gift
She's like,
will
I'll
be
give you a
not
question if you
singing.
don't sing.
It's a gift to make it stop.
Yeah, that's right. Make it stop. Make them stop their singing. That would be your gift.
I'll give you a gift if you stop it.
Well, why are they singing that song?
No, that's us singing to her.
No, she said like the Fae in the village, right? That droning song.
So
No,
why
she
are
said-
they singing?
No, she's talking about us singing to her because we suck.
No, I got an 18 bluff. She thinks I'm wonderful.
Can't bluff your way through the final countdown, my man.
Can't bluff your way through the final countdown, is right.
We've all been to karaoke and tried it. It doesn't work.
Well, I didn't choose that song.
What did you choose?
I chose
What?
I'm a little teapot. Anyone can sing that.
Dust in the wind.
Why do the Fae sing?
That's
Yes, why?
So you don't know why the Fae sing?
Okay, I'm gonna pull out a string and start twirling it around and making it skitter across the surface of the water.
Yeah, she asked you, why do the Fae sing? So maybe she knows, maybe she's testing you or something, or maybe she genuinely doesn't know.
No.
Because it's supposed to keep the fire contained and keep a beast contained who, if unleashed, they think will destroy the forest. We wish to find the truth of this.
Okay.
Truth is different from day to day.
You're one of those.
Awesome.
All right, well, I brought some earthworms.
Oh, look, she came down here for her gift of arrows.
It's like a bad.
She's sort of like floating around, you guys,
Right.
and swimming back
Gliding.
and forth, kind of
Yeah.
gliding through the water. She seems very capable in the water,
Yeah.
but she's sort of flying around. More than anything, she seems sort of confused by your presence. She doesn't seem to. She seems somewhat ignorant of what you guys are talking about. So she's claiming, look, if you want to ask me questions, you got to give me gifts. That's point one. Two, if, the questions that you've asked, you get the impression that, she's obviously some sort of fey nymph and they're all a little crazy, but it's kind of like she's not understanding what you guys are talking about. She certainly doesn't want to talk about timbre. And she has just set out, you could see a look of anger and hatred cross her face, and she says, I will not speak of her anymore. But then you ask him about the song, is like, she's like, why are they singing in the Seela village? And you guys are like, well, they're trying to keep the creature at bay and all this other stuff and blah blah blah. And she's like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? Yeah, she seems confused by this response because it's nothing. She lives nearby, and presumably she encounters Fae from the village once in a while. But even Tijann is like, I'm getting no closer to this than where I am now. And she's 50, 60, 70 yards away. She's like, this is as far as I go.
Remind me why we're here to see her.
What would be required for you to just have an open conversation with us? Is there any service or any gift that you would like that would just grant us an open conversation?
Amber's head.
Who?
Timbre's head.
Well, see, if you would have answered where she is, that was the first question we asked.
Well, she, and I'm going to paraphrase for you here, Doug, because it'll take too long for me to type it. But she has a general idea where she is, but she's certainly not going to give it up. She doesn't know if you guys are even capable of defeating her. You do get the impression that she potentially knows where she is, but she kind of looks dubiously on you. Is like, well, you guys don't bring me any gifts. You're asking me all kinds of questions. I've told you what I want. go find her.
I'm gonna take a 5-foot step
Okay.
and I'm gonna bow
Okay.
dexterously.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask her what gift she prefers, beautiful weaponry or beautiful jewelry.
That's a Doug call. I don't know. What do you think, Doug?
Hmm. Weaponry.
So I'm going to pull out a masterwork elvish longsword
Ooh, okay.
and balance it on my hands neutrally with the blade towards me, so it's respectful, and hold it out to her. Then I bring you this. But I ask that you have a conversation that you won't be happy having.
So it is a gift, and she reaches out and takes it.
Okay.
Done.
So she seems a bit more amenable, especially to you, Wraith, which she looks upon you with probably a small smile of sorts.
Mhm.
It's a pretty significant gift. I mean, a blade of the elves, craftsmanship, of elves of the land. I don't know, Doug. I mean, would she respond positively to this?
Ask me your questions.
You obviously don't like Tambor and you don't want to talk about her. Unfortunately, the questions that we have revolve around her. You've also said that you would like her head. We want to find her to determine what she has to do with a current situation that you don't care about, which I understand. But in order to find her and determine whether or not we need to take her head and bring it back to you, we need to know where she is. This is apparently something that most people don't know, and perhaps you do and can guide us there.
Okay, Les.
You want me to take this one?
Well, its point is you haven't sent me any information.
Yeah, we got sort of beyond the information I provided you.
Right, and so
So-
I would say in metagaming, she would be more amenable to answering their questions. I don't have the
Absolutely.
information. I don't have the information to role play the exchange, though.
Right. So she would say, I know generally where the fiery glade exists, but I cannot take you there, for I cannot stray far from the waters of this lake. And it is miles distant from the Seela village. I can give you a general idea of where it is, but I would need your assurances that you will murder Tambor and get for me the revenge that I have craved since she killed Anyariel.
Well, directions would be sufficient. It makes sense that you would not be able to travel there.
Will you promise me to bring me her head as
I
a final
ask-
token?
I ask solely for our benefit. I get that. And I can offer another gift if you like, but I ask that you explain what she's done to you and why you want her head.
There was once a time when the three of us were the greatest of friends and powers in this wood. We would go righting wrongs and seeing to the fire force to make sure that everything was as it should be, correcting any wrong or blight that existed. Myself, Tambor, and Anyariel. Anyariel was our leader, the greatest of the elvish women that we've ever seen that come from the fire forest. She was our leader and our friend. But it's but Tambor grew jealous of the closeness with which Anyariel and I had for ourselves, and she grew increasingly jealous of our relationship. And in the night, like a thief and an assassin in the night, she struck Anyariel and destroyed her while I was not there to defend her, and killed my friend. Therefore, I have always wished to get revenge for Anyariel, but I am trapped here by my nature and the waters of the fire forest. I could never get close to her, and she never strayed close enough for me to exact vengeance on my own. Be my hand in this. Destroy her. Bring me her head, and I shall give you a boon without price.
If I may ask. Oh, there you go. No.
It's pretty good. She seems, sense motive, she seems genuinely,
Yeah.
Pissed off at her.
I mean, yeah, she's
Oh, yeah.
pissed. I mean, the words are coming out of her mouth with the anger within them is barely contained. You can tell that whatever else she might be saying, her hatred of timbre is genuine.
Is legit.
Yeah.
So if I may ask, you
Mhm.
may not know the answer to this question, but I certainly don't and would very much like to.
Okey-dokey.
This individual who you despise so much,
Mhm.
who's taken so much from you, has also given orders to a village of Fae not far from here that seem counterproductive at the least.
My poor
Would-
fey creatures.
Would her having them, and again, it's mentioned, sing songs in an attempt to trap a fire creature in the fire forest, would that truly serve the Fae, or would it only serve her?
Well, I know nothing of these orders that she's given them. She was always imperious, always wished to have her power reckoned with, and always wished to influence the lesser creatures. She had no understanding that our responsibility was to care for the lesser powers, not to demand their subservience. So she was always imperious in that way. And if she has told them to perform some service for her, it is either in her own best interest or some terrible lie. Nothing that comes out of her mouth has any truth to it. Nothing benefits anyone but herself.
And at this point, I'm going to try to do a sense motive and hopefully do better than I did before.
Okay. Oh,
23.
okay, good. Well, you certainly believe that she believes that this is true. Whether or not it actually is that this it's obvious to you that this falling out that Tamber and Guinevera have had, it was immense, and that there's no enemies like enemies that were once great friends, right?
Right.
That one feels affronted by,
Yeah.
and this is that kind of care. It's and she believes that Tamber is responsible in some way for Anyariel's death. It's obvious that Guinevera and Anyariel were very close, and that she holds her responsible for that, and that colors her response. Whether or not what she doesn't give you any impression is whether she knows specifically whether these orders are for real or for not. In fact, you don't think that she really understands or has knowledge of what you're talking about from a specific standpoint. All she's saying is basically, it's like, if Tamber told these guys to do something, it was either for her own gratification or it was some lie that she's doing to make sure that she has a stranglehold. And she goes into a sort of a long oration about how
Right.
Tamber always wanted to dominate the villagers, the lesser powers, where I wanted to, it was our job, our responsibility was to take care of them and make sure that the great Fey powers gave us our powers so that we could protect them, not to order them around like slaves or servo mechanisms. Although
Okay.
servo mechanisms might not be a word she used exactly.
Yeah.
Do you know where in the timeline this rift happened, the murder there?
Oh, it would have been probably a decade ago, maybe more.
Well, yeah, and we ran into the defender of Anyariel when we went down
In the shrine.
in the shrine, right? So we recognized that Anyariel was good.
So if this creature's water, the other one's fire, what was the one who died?
Anyariel was the
What
demigod.
element?
He was an elf.
Yeah, she was the elven demigod. So
She
I
wasn't-
have one final question, if you'll endure it.
I shall
Right.
endure it for the sake of you.
I need to have one of my companions ask it. So I'm going to ask one of the magic users to explain what they saw with their detect magic in its entirety in the owl guy, and then ask her if she knows what that is.
Okay. Oh.
The black spot with the veins going all up through the guy, and
Mhm.
yeah.
So, Andrew, do you explain what you saw to her? And I'm assuming, Poe, that you're gonna jump in and provide color commentary as well.
Needed, yep. I'll let Andrew take the lead though, or Titus.
Okay. So turn to her and say, my friend Poe and I witnessed together looking at Owl Boy, that within him is buried a crystalline form that seemed to pulse and grow and with tentacles, and we got from it a sense of evil necromancy.
Her eyes widen at when you mention necromancy. Where is this creature?
Vuhl, he is at the village.
At the Seela village on the other side of the lake? There is a creature of evil and undeadedness in one of the villages?
We don't know. We were hoping you could tell us that.
There's at least a creature who has that inside him.
I know of no magic that you described that it would explain this, but I know that necromancy, the magic of the dead, has no place in the Fire Forest or within any of the Fey creatures. She looks thoughtful for a second. She says, "I have made a decision. I will accompany you back to the Seela village, and I will speak with this creature that contains this evil and plumb the depths of his perfidy and find out what sort of measure of creature it is. And if so, dispatch it. Then we will talk about ending the perfidious activities of Timbre of the Fireglade. But now it is almost 11:15.
She needs her beauty sleep.
And I feel the people on the East Coast are starting, their eyes are beginning to droop.
So
We must call it here tonight." So she's like, basically like, look, you not only is Timbre screwing with the Fae on the other side of the lake, but now you're telling me they have necromancy magic over there? She's like, all right, I'm coming. And she's like, I'm going to have a little chat with this Vuhl fellow that you say is full of necromancy, and we're going to get to the bottom of this.
does she fight with one sword or two?
Well, she got another one now.
Does she fight with one sword or two?
I do. It's a good question.
No.
Hold on. Let me see. I don't
We have a second masterwork elven longsword.
I don't think she is a 2-weapon fighter. Let me just double check. I'm pretty sure she's not, but no, she would be, well, no, yeah, she would be honestly, she might not even use this as a weapon. She might be not skilled. I think she appreciates it because of its elven construction and its beauty, but it might not be something that she would fight with.
Okay, that's all good. We have two of them. Nobody at this point has been able to or wanted to use them. So
okay,
it was stuff we could afford to pass on the price
Gotcha.
of. And so
it was a legit gift, man. It was an inspired thing. Yeah. A masterwork elvish blade to appeal to a Fey nymph. That's a solid gift choice.
Okay, so she's good. We're good. She's going to come back and
she's going to come. But she said I will come back with you.
Gut Vuhl like a fish, and so good.
She doesn't say that, but she says we'll get to the bottom of this, and we'll get to the bottom of this Timbre issue too, and we're going to make some changes.
I wanted
at the Seela village.
I wanted to gut Vuhl like a fish, but it's better if you do it.
She's like, we shall see what manner of corruption has infested this Fae at Timbre's behest. So you're getting the impression that once Titus has described this thing and she bristles at the necromancy, you're guessing that she thinks that Timbre is responsible for this too, because frankly, based on your
She
conversation
thinks
with her.
Amber is responsible for everything.
Yeah, any bad thing that
Any bad
happens.
thing.
Yeah, it's Tamber's fault. So she's going to do that. But we'll stop there. And in 2 weeks, when we come back for B team, we will go back to the Seela village and have a short discussion and witness the short discussion between Vuhl and Guinevera
Nice.
and see how that goes.
Good job, guys.
All right, gents?
All right,
Yeah,
guys.
excellent work tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good one, guys.
Good gaming, boys.
Take care. Good night.
Hey, guys.
All right, hold on. I'm going to turn off while these guys are getting out of here. I'm going to stop the share and then I'm going to stop the recording.